Christmas to you. Happy Kwanzaa. Is that where you are? Happy holidays. It's the holiday season. We're coming up on the new year, man. I feel like this year has just,
Ooh,
I don't know what happened. It just seems like it's
this,
accelerated. It's on,
mm,
it's like you put the button and it's on fast mode. I don't know. Is anybody else feeling that?
yeah, this year was like a bad horror movie that just keep playing and playing and playing.
Oh no, it's not a horror movie. It's
It's
not.
a horror movie that with a good ending.
Is that? Do we think that?
Yeah, Jason dies in this one. Yes,
I like that. I like that. I like
Jason
that.
being Trump. Yes, Jason dies in this one.
All right. I think we are live on Grown Folks Radio. This is Single on a Saturday night. We do this every fourth Saturday. And you don't have to be single. You could be single, married, situationship, relationship, booed up, screwed up, whatever it is you do. It's all about you, because you know what? We're all just talking about relationships. And when it comes to relationships, we've been in a relationship since we came out the womb, literally. So our relationship with our mother and our parents started in the beginning. So it's always good to talk about relationships. And I'm going to introduce myself. I am Shelly Shell Williams, Philly's Oprah, single, never been married,
Ooh,
no children. So
that's
I'm
all right.
single, y'all. I'm single.
Ooh, single, no children, and good credit.
They say I had good credit. Look. Let me tell you now. Look, you gonna put that on it, but I receive it. But I'm going to go to. We're gonna introduce our guest last, but I'm gonna go to. I think my left is this way. Matthew. Yeah, you're on mute.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Miller. I'm married. Been going through a separation, divorce for a couple of years, and Single on a Saturday Night's a show that really helped me grab hold of a new identity, in a sense of like how to orient myself, as well as segue me into the pathway to become an entrepreneur. And just much appreciation and much love for Single on Saturday Night.
Sure, for
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you. Underneath of that's Catrice Bailey.
Hey everybody, this is Catrice, mother of three, model, and I have my own podcast and show called When Models Talk.
Woo!
Oh, okay. Come on. No, you got to send me the link so I can tune in.
Yes.
I sure will. Every other Tuesday now.
Every other Tuesday.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Every other
Yeah.
Tuesday. However, it is available on all your podcast platforms.
Yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
Next up is Disco. You're muted. I can't hear you.
Oh, my bad. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I am the random black guy. I own this random. She's shaking her head like, don't do it. Well, I am. I'm the random black guy. Okay, my name is DJ Kid Disco. I am the co-owner of this station that we are broadcasting on Grown Folks Radio, along with that lady right there, Shelly Shell. That's who I am. I'm the
Awesome.
king of the
Vicky.
podcast. Yeah, that
Move
guy.
on. Vicky.
Hi, everybody. My name is Victoria Nelson. I'm married to William Nelson. We've been married 20 years, 4 children, 4 grandchildren.
Wow. What perfect for 4 children, 4 grandchildren. Wow.
Mhm.
Great numbers. Malik Truth, you're not on camera right now. Malik?
Yeah, I'm on right here. Here we go. Malik Truth here. Originally born in Newark, New Jersey. I've been married once. I got divorced last month. Finally went through.
Wow. That's new.
So Matthew, there's hope. There's hope. No, but no. I am a best-selling author of a book called The Design Dating Purpose.
Woo-woo.
And I'm loving every minute of that ride, of that literary journey. That literary journey is helping a lot of people. It helped me to meet Shelly Shell, DJ Kid Disco, Cindy Williams, Crystal, a lot of folks. So I'm just happy that Shelly Shell will have my single behind here on a Saturday.
Awesome, awesome. Melisha's here, but she doesn't really do introductions. Melisha, will you do an introduction? I'm gonna take that as a no since her camera's not on and she's muted. But Melisha has been with Single on a Saturday Night literally from day one. That's also my sister girl, so yeah, she family right there. But she has definitely been here with us since day one. Been on a panel. She gives her insight, but she's not one of those people who really like Zoom. And you know what? And it's okay. It's okay. We're in a society where you don't have to like it. It just happens to be that we had to pivot that way because normally when it's live, it's an experience. And that's all I can say. It's really an experience because we have food, fun, karaoke. So it's really something that singles or married people could come out and enjoy. So it's a little different when you sit in this little box. But we're still right here on grownfolksradio.com, also on Comcast, Verizon, and all over your box on Roku. So we are really, really all over the world right now. So today is a special day. I am so excited to announce our guest. Her name is Zemi Moore. She's a couples and sex therapist. And she has not letters behind it, LMFT. So that means she's licensed. You know, that means she is licensed marriage and therapy. So she's good to go, right? So today our topic is the orgasm deficit. Ha! The orgasm deficit. It gets deep right here. And some people, when you think orgasm, you think, oh my God, we're going to go deep. We're talking about sex. But what is the problem? We're not talking about sex in the way like, hey, this is a porno. But when it comes to relationships and marriage and things like that, you want to make sure you don't have an orgasm deficit. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? So welcome to Zemi Moore. Hey, everybody. Yay.
One more time.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Zemi. How are you?
I am lovely. Trying to make the best of like holidays during COVID.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? But you know what? I believe that we are here for a reason, a purpose, and I am so glad to be here because there's so many people that did not wake up on this side of the here. You know what I mean? So tell me a little bit about yourself and your practice.
Okay. So of course, as you already mentioned, my name is Zemi Moore. I am an LMFT, so I'm licensed in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. So I actually went to Howard in my undergrad, so HU for the Bisons out there, and the soon-to-be first Black lady who is the vice president of the United States, also a Bison, just, you know, FYI, she also went to Howard. So I went to Howard and got my undergrad in psychology. I ended up also getting my master's at Jefferson, which is why I ended up staying in Philly. I chose marriage and family therapy specifically because I really like the relational aspect of psychology. Like I often tell my clients that people don't exist in a vacuum. And so to not look at how we relate to each other, I feel like is doing a disservice to the client. And then I ended up going specifically into sex therapy because I like working with couples, and it didn't make sense to me to work with couples and to not also look at that aspect. So I started doing sex therapy and I really enjoy it, particularly when you help somebody through something very sensitive. They're really happy and you feel really good when you've like helped a relationship move past a really difficult point. Especially because there seems to be like a shame or silence around that. Like, oh, I could never talk to my friends about, you know, the fact that I've never had an orgasm with my partner or things like that. So it's really fulfilling work.
That's
Is
awesome.
it, you talk about it as when it comes to couples, but have you ever thought about it? I think when I met you at the empowerment breakfast, I was thinking that have we ever thought about the whole fact that when it comes to being prepared for marriage, that sex is a big part. So why not learn more about it? Why not learn prior to and really delve into the whole fact that when I get married, if I ever do, I want to make sure that it's fruitful and it has no deficits in that department. So do you deal with that at all? Do you have any singles that come in and want to learn more or actually be prepared for marriage?
So what's interesting is I most certainly do have individuals come in, but It's usually a twofer. So I'm usually getting, actually, no, I think it's probably even. I'll have some people come in, and even though their partner isn't in the room, they are coupled, and they're coming in and just saying, well, I just don't want to tell my partner about this, but I feel like it's a concern and I want to work on it for myself. That happens. You also have some people who they don't have a partner at all, but they're coming in because it's like in anticipation for a partner. So one day I'm going to have a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, and I feel like I want to get this tackled before then. Usually what I'm hearing in the like before then case is the concern of like, if I don't get this fixed, well, what will my partner think? Things like that.
Awesome. So I want to go, I mean, I don't know if anybody wants to talk about the whole subject on their own, but have you ever thought about, I'm asking individual questions, have you ever thought about the fact that maybe there's a deficit for some women when it comes to orgasm? Have you ever experienced it? And I'll go first because I'm not afraid to say I understand that I have a deficit. I mean, meaning I didn't even understand what it was until 8 years ago when we started doing Single on a Saturday Night, and Nikki Phelps, we had a sexual therapy type class. Like, it was a class, and I didn't realize that I didn't even know what an orgasm was. I thought that, I didn't know what was happening, but I didn't experience what other people experienced as far as, oh my God, my legs were shaking. Oh my gosh, it was this. I've never ever, like, I'm like, wow. And they're talking about some multiple orgasms, but that's my experience. Anybody else want to speak on it before we go into really getting into it?
Let me tell you, look, Shelly, you read my book and how my upbringing was, so it was like that. It was like that movie, American Pie, where they had this Bible. If anybody ever seen American Pie, they had this Bible of sexual stuff. So my uncles were that Bible for me. So they were if you do this to a woman, if you do that to a woman, these are the results, and so on and so forth, and so these are, the ideals that were in my head with regards to having sex with a woman and bringing her to the point of orgasm, so I don't know. The orgasm for me sounded like and looked at like eyes rolling in the back of the head, legs shaking, the moanings turning into screams, climbing up the wall like Spider-Man. That was evidence for me. So, if I didn't get that evidence, in my mind, I was like, damn, am I not doing this right? You know what I'm saying? So, so I don't know. For me, those were my lessons for orgasm.
Awesome. Anybody else want to share? Anybody not too scared to share?
Now, I've never had that issue, but I've heard from other women the fact that they have never, orgasm, and I was like, huh? I was confused because I didn't know that was something you couldn't do. That's just my experience.
You said you didn't know, huh? You was like, wait a minute, that's a thing?
Of course, like your first time, it's like, okay, yeah, but every time after that, come on.
I don't know. You're sounding like it's something like it's second nature, but it's not really second nature. Am I correct, Matthew? Do you want to speak on it before we ask Zemi Moore?
I don't want to speak on the topic, but I just want to throw in a little 2 cents. I used to think the orgasm for both people just automatically happen at the same time, but it doesn't. And so that means either she was pretending that she was having one to match. So this is.
Oh my God!
You're pretending does go on a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot. Hey, but no, you could tell pretending. That's like overacting. Pretending is like overacting.
Pretending. You really
pretending is overacting.
Well, so there are several people who most certainly do pretend, and it's usually to protect your partner, because if you love this person, you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to
hurt their feelings.
Right. But I think that the fact that the orgasm back the gap is so big, like, and the numbers fluctuate. So it really depends on like which study you're looking at, but it's somewhere around, what was it? Like, I think 93% for men, likelihood of having an orgasm. And I think it's only about 65 for women. That's a good little chunk of change. Like, that's a letter grade. That's 2 letter grades. One is failing and one is an A student. It's a big gap. So if that gap is that large, there has to be some pretty darn good fakers, because very few men will be like, yeah, you know what? There are several women in my life who just don't orgasm when we have sex. Yet statistically speaking, a lot of them aren't. So they gotta be faking, and people just don't know.
No, they ain't got that good male intuition. They should know if they faking or not. No, let me stop. I'm just playing.
No, wait. Victoria, you had a question, had a comment?
Yeah, just a comment. I don't know if it's a question or comment or just me. It don't happen all the time for me. I don't know if that's maybe because I'm getting older, maybe menopause is setting in. And is it kind of old to probably asking this question because I never really thought about it. Climaxing and orgasm, is that 2 different things, or is it the same thing, or
it's the same
feeling
it's
you
just
get,
2 different
is that
words.
all the same thing?
Same thing, 2 different words. It's just like saying coming.
Well, not nothing.
I'm coming. You ain't gonna say, oh baby, I'm climaxing.
Okay, well, thank you.
I'm coming,
okay,
baby.
I don't want to be all. I want to say that. But it's nothing to my husband because he's good. But I think it's me and getting older and your body changing. I'm 53, maybe menopause is setting in. It don't happen all the time, and he thinks there's something wrong with him, and it's not anything wrong with him. I believe it's me.
So how can we help? How can we? What are some things that we can work on with that?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So, first and foremost, and this is a lot of things that usually happens in coupling, your orgasm is your own, right? So the idea of your partner giving you one, it's more like, what's a good way to, there's no proper way to put this, but it's more like your partner is the utensil that's helping me get the job done, but you didn't give it to me. I kind of gave you this roadmap and you just helped me get along this ride type of thing.
Okay.
And I think that kind of takes the pressure off for some guys, because again, when it doesn't happen, it's like this blow to your ego, but that's not really how it works. It's something that is for me and of me. With your body changing, yes. So if you happen to be going through menopause, that very much is going to be quite a few different changes. So one particularly, there may be a difference in lubrication. So how lubricated you are getting, and then like the viscosity of that, like the feel of it would be a little bit different, which is honestly, it's the same thing that's going to be happening throughout the month. You'll notice that it changes anyway. Depending on where you are in the month. Menopause is just going to make that change a little more sustained, I guess. So it won't be as much where you're going through a month with having different viscosity. It'll be just different after menopause. So usually what that means is, well, if you need more lubrication, or if the lubrication just doesn't feel as slick as it used to, just go buy some. What's wonderful is you can literally buy any sort of climate you want. Right. I literally have a guide on lube though, so you want to be careful about which ones you're putting in your body, because all lube is not the same. I personally think Slickwood is just the best thing ever. It's all natural, and it's like they have water-based lubes. So those ones would be my go-to, because I know the ingredients in there are okay for your vagina. So the first one is the lubrication changed in how much or how it feels? And if so, go get some store-bought, buy a whole bunch of different ones, and then tell them, hey, we're going to test this all out. From my experience and from that of my couples, I have never heard a partner say, you know what, I don't want to test out all this new lube. They're usually cool with it.
Hey, Zimmy. Do you think a lot of couples they take sex too seriously, and it means they take the game and the fun out of it? After a while, it becomes more of a duty or a job. What do you think about that?
That can happen, most certainly. And it usually comes around the time where people get comfortable. So there's something called like the 7-year itch, pretty much, where things start to get really, really routine. We've either been together for a very long, like we've been together 7 years, or we've been married we have kids now. I know when you go to work, you know when I go to work. Maybe we have a date night to like liven the mood, but I know everything. I know all of the fun secret. There's no more spice. That's when things might start to get a little boring, for lack of a better word. There's no excitement here because I know exactly what's going to happen. We're going to have sex on Tuesday like we always do. We're going to be missionary, or we're going to be doggy. That can be a little bit boring. So when that happens, usually what I encourage people to do is bring back the spice. Like, I think it is true that you most certainly will know your partners, especially after 7 years or however long you've been together. You probably know your partner pretty darn well. That's true. But you don't know everything. People are continuously growing. So you want to bring that excitement back in. There are a whole bunch of these card games now that are just about asking these deepening questions. Those are really fun ones to do. Go do something you guys have literally never done before. So you can be like, oh my God, I had no idea you were so terrified of heights until we decided to do this air skydiving thing and you legit screamed like our daughter. Like funny things like that. Bring it in and have fun with it. And you'll notice that even if it's not a sexually fun thing, it's fun to be back to
it's invigorating.
And have sex because now it's exciting. It's, oh, this is nice with you. And it's good to transfer over to that. And of course, you could also just bring fun things in the bedroom. That's also cool too.
If you ain't never used toys before, use some toys. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, the toys they have out today are amazing.
Are incredible. Are amazing.
There's one called PeriFit, which is now my new favorite thing in the world. But of course, I am going to buy it before I go around like telling people that you should buy it. But in theory, it sounds great. So another part of
you're gonna try it out first. But
well, how can I tell other women that they should get it?
I'm feeling you though. I'm tripping on that though. I'm tripping on that. So if I sell food, I got to try food out. If I'm selling sex, I got to.
What if your mind is just not wrapped around the toys? Like, I mean, let's think about this. You know, Catrice may say, "Oh, I never had a problem," because maybe her mind and she was more open to sex. Maybe somebody like me, I was never open to sex because I was always taught, oh my God, don't have sex before you get married and it's bad and it's, or even if they didn't say it's bad, it was more so like, who talked about it? It wasn't spoken about inside of the home. It wasn't like, hey, sex is this, sex is that. It never talked about toys. I didn't really get into the process of toys until Single on a Saturday Night. So I'm not open to toys. I'm open to the dialogue, but I'm not, I don't know. It's not comfortable. It's not a comfortable thing.
Well, just go do like Zimmy say, go out and buy one and try it out.
Well, so
that's all.
It's one of the other piece is not everything is for everyone. If you're comfortable trying it, go ahead. If not, then just maybe that's not for you. Like a thing that a lot of sex therapists you'll hear in kind of like our realm when we're chatting is the idea of don't yuck somebody's yum. It is not for me, but maybe you find it delicious. Go ahead and have fun with it. I will also note though, toys have made a tremendous growth. Like they have become so much more than what they used to be. I think you would be hard pressed not to find one that you would be okay with, because they're just so vast.
The bullet, try the bullet. The bullet is what I hear.
And Nikki Phelps Nikki Phelps made sure that a few of us had these toys. She dropped them off as gifts. Nikki Phelps is a therapist as well, and she's our therapist on the panel, and she made sure we all had gifts. But I didn't utilize them. I really think I put them. I don't even know where I put them out. I don't know how comfortable I am, but you mentioned at the conference, you mentioned that maybe we can have a better orgasm if we know ourselves a little better, our bodies a little better. Is that it, Zemi?
Sorry, I just wanted to write down Nikki's name because she obviously sounds amazing.
She is. I don't know where she is today,
cool.
but she's normally here every time.
Yeah, she cool in the game.
So the idea of better knowing your own body and that like kind of contributing to lessening the orgasm gap. Yes. So some of the things that you kind of hit on are the mainstays. Those are the things that I'm seeing a lot of with women who are coming in and saying that either I've never had an orgasm or I just, I also see that a lot in, well, they changed it now. It used to be vaginismus, but now I believe it's just genital pelvic pain disorder because they smushed them all together. I see that a lot in that one as well. And it's this idea of either one, I was taught that it was bad or dirty or wrong. I was taught something negative about it, or I wasn't taught anything. There was just nothing. And both of those aren't very helpful or conducive for having like a healthy sex life later on. Because in essence, in one, no, you didn't say anything wrong, but because I also didn't get anything at all one way or the other, I don't know what to do here, which means I'm now learning and making meaning of sex all on my own. And sex, just like everything else, it has meaning. Anything that you do, you assign a meaning to it. And when that's an empty box, you have to go create it on your own and figure that out. That could be really tough for a lady, especially because how we are as a gender, like in our culture, it's hard to pick up those things on the fly. Particularly, I was taught a lot that, what was it? It's a man's job to ask, it's a woman's job to say no. What does that inherently tell you? Like it's inherent that they're going to press me for it. And all I can do is just say, no, I would preferably not to do that. Nowhere in there does it say that I can ask him. So you don't learn to do that. And there's a lot of little sayings or little things that you kind of hear or you pick up on that kind of filter, at least to me. But I also know that I grew up in the South. So my family is Black Southern Christians. So a lot of that is just women don't do that. Young ladies don't do that. That's not what a nice Christian girl does. And all of that kind of cements the, yes, that's your body, but basically it's on hold until your husband shows up. Well, how on earth am I going to figure out what I like and all the things that I want to do so I can tell him what he should do when he gets here if I didn't have any time to do it on my own?
Zemi, there's a lot of barriers that are inculcated, during our growing up and our developmental years. And those barriers could definitely seep into when we grow up and actually interact in those. If you were taught that masturbation is wrong, maybe those toys and you touching yourself, then guess what? You ain't going to utilize those toys in the manner in which they were intended to. Certain sexual positions, you may not want to do that. And so therefore you will be considered as to your partner as boring, fellatio, going down, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? Some guys are taught that ain't good. Some women are taught that ain't good. And so I believe that within our socialization, as we experience these different pieces of information that come in, those can have a grand impediment, to that act when we come there, because every time something comes up is going to trigger that teaching.
That's exactly what I see. In fact, the hallmark of my practice is looking at patterns and seeing where they originated, highlighting that this is what's going on here, and then noting that for that time period of when you started doing this behavior, or when you started thinking this way, it made sense there. It no longer makes sense here. Like maybe as a kid, yes, you're not supposed to have sex there. That's why that was taught to you. Perfect. You're a grown woman now. It's your body. Do with it what you please, as long as you're healthy and you're consenting adults. And shifting that mind state to I'm no longer a child, this doesn't fit, to I'm an adult and I have efficacy and I can choose what I want and don't want.
So do you think that when it comes down to it, when you think about men, and you know how there are men that really want the best for the person, meaning they're not selfish lovers, and you have some that are really selfish and they're only out for themselves. Do you think that could be part of the barrier between the orgasm deficit and having an orgasm when the person just pretty much is this trying to get their own?
Definitely.
Right.
So that happens in two ways. So, or at least two ways that I've noted, but I'm sure there's probably a whole bunch more. But one, what I've seen in working with clients and just as a woman and having other friends who are women and being related to other women, there's kind of there's the outright affront, which is I don't even care about whether you're getting off or whether you're being pleased at all. It is simply about me. I'm here to, there's no kosher way to say this. So usually what I hear is, I'm just here to catch a nut. Okay, you're not here for your partner. Cool, you're here for fun and you're out. If that's what it is for the two of you, okay. There's the other one in the middle who's like, yes, I do want you to be able to get there, sure, but it's like a notch type of thing. It's a notch in my belt. I want you to get there because I've always made every woman come, and to have you not come is like a
blow to the ego,
to my record.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem with that is
he's not really doing it for her. He's doing it for him.
You're not paying as much attention. You're just doing like your bag of tricks, hoping that these bag of tricks work. But if you slept with one vagina, you slept with one vagina. Like, they are not all the same. This isn't just
that sure ain't.
Like, that's not how that goes. Like, every woman is very much different.
Every vagina is not created equal.
Right. Yeah. So what worked for over there may not work for over here. You have to actually listen to that woman to figure out what she likes. So that's another one that can kind of get caught in there, because if it's your ego and not actually your partner, sometimes you can get lost in actually listening to what their needs and wants are. And then of course, there's always the person who is just offended. So there's let's say that this woman does have a really strong sense of self-advocacy or assertiveness, or she's just straight up tired of not getting hers. And so she's just like, yo, I don't like that. Like, I want you to do this over here. I want you to do that over here. I just want you to not do that. Or perhaps
drill sergeant, drill sergeant.
Whichever way it comes out, preferably I tell people not to do it that way. Like,
no, don't do it that
correction.
way.
Yeah, you want to say what you like, and then kind of just diminish or like not bring as much attention to the things that you don't like. And in that case, nudge them. Yeah, like it's kind of like it, and it's a weird thing to say, but it's the same thing with any type of like behavioral thing, or where you're teaching people the behaviors that you want. When you see something you like, or when they're doing something you want them to do, you're really excited. Like if you were training a puppy and I want my puppy to sit, when he sits, good job, thank you so much. If I want you to go to the left, yes. If I want you to go to the left and you go to the left, well, I'm gonna be a little bit louder because I like you. Like that's
exactly. And that's the form of communication. And you know, I like the way Eddie Murphy put it on Delirious? Yeah, it was Delirious, where he said, look at it this way, fellas, would you rather a woman hold you and say, I want you to make love to me, or grab you by your throat and say, fuck the shit out of me? Think about that. You know what I'm saying?
Out there in the world.
But here it is. But I think the point of it is communication. Everything is about communication. And a lot of people fail to utilize that theory when it comes to sex. I mean, sex could be fun while being instructional as well. It's like, you know, baby, you know, boom, boom. Let's try this. Hey, baby, let's try that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it depends on who you're talking to. If y'all married and your mate is catching offense based off of those communication in that era, then that's something you failed at during the dating process. You should have found that out way before you said I do.
Really, should you? If you're not having sex,
but most people don't.
That's what I'm saying. If you're not having sex before you get married, like most of the time, like me in the my goal is to not saying that I haven't. I've had sex before, but I'm saying now in my stage of life, I'm not having sex until I get married. However, I feel like I want to talk about it, but when you talk about it with them, then you're planting a seed, and then they're like, wait a minute, you're double-minded. I can't. You either got to not talk about
it. You're talking about it, but I can't get none.
Right. So then you're sitting there like, then you get into a whole conversation. Look, now you just got me. You got me hot. Now you don't. But I'm saying I want to communicate. I want to ask what you like. I want to know what you're feeling. I want to know. I want to know all this stuff, but I don't want to have sex. Right. I want to talk about it, but I don't want to have sex. So it's hard in this process because it's not working, because it turns into a whole different thing. And even it's hard I mean, your flesh versus your spirit. Even me, I'm not there. I'm like, dang, yeah, that didn't work for me either. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I just, end the conversation. But internally, I'm in my own self, like, how can we stop? Not, you know what I mean? So how do we get around that? I don't know how to get around it.
Well, I think kind of the transparency piece in it, and you set a good boundary for it, but I'm going to jump. So I want to come back to something that he was saying, and then I'm going to come back to yours as well.
Okay.
So I think you're absolutely correct. Communication is very much key, but there's one more type of person or partner that can make it a little bit hard when it comes to like bridging that orgasm gap. And that's the person who's just a straight up denier or dismissive person. And so that's when when the woman actually is assertiveness, or the female bodied person is actually assertiveness to say, I do want this, or I don't want that. And then the response they get is, but I've done this to the last 5 people that I've been with, and they all came. There must be something wrong with you. And how do you even know your body? Because I'm like the best. That's a shutdown.
Right. That's
but
the ego.
That actually happens. Legitimately, someone can say, hey, I think I like X. And they'll be like, but Y's the bomb, and I'm amazing for doing Y. Maybe you just need to have a little bit more Y. Well, that's a problem. And that's a big issue of communication too, because it's now taken as, it's not just, hey, this is just what I like. Now. It's offensive. And then
they're offended by that. Their ego shot. Yep. Shelly, remember I talked about that in the book where I was having sex with this girl, and I knew I do an amazing job downtown, but for her it just wasn't working because that's not her yummy. I like that though. I like that, Zimmy. I'm gonna steal the hell out of that. Okay, I'm gonna put that one in my next book.
All the time.
But that for her getting ate out wasn't her yummy. The D was her yummy, just pounding. Whether it's hard or soft, whatever it was, the D was her yummy. So I was like, wow, I'm down here all this time and she ain't came yet. I'm good for at least 3 orgasms for this 10, 15 minutes right here. You know what I'm saying? So I was that guy. That was thinking that why always worked for me. So what's wrong with her? But I think the failed communication, it was a timeout. It was a timeout for me to really assess me and understand that, hey, Malik, you know what? It's important that you learn how to have conversations before you have sex sometimes.
So you find out what she like first. So you wish you would have said, when you were going down, get ready to go down, you should have said, I'd rather you would rather her say, I'd rather you not. That's ideal, but based on the theory of protection, she was looking to protect my ego possibly at that time. And hoping that, hey, I hope it's gonna work because he's down there for quite a long time. You know what I'm saying? So, so rather than speak up, I did the whole thing, So I was like, okay, well, let me just give it a D.
Well, see, I think the other thing is that's a great opportunity to start communication. So if you're down there and you're like, well, this has been a little bit of a while, but I'm still here, and it seems like we haven't gotten to my normal goal. You could also just say, you want to switch things up, or is this maybe not your thing? Do you want me? Should I do something different? And that kind of opens that door for the person to say, well, actually, this isn't really my thing, or like that. I think the best lover, like if ego is your thing and you want to wear that like badge on your chest of like, I know I'm a good lover, well, then you need to be a good listener.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, you'll be
Well,
great. I agree with that. I love it. I love it.
Well, wouldn't it make sense if you're not in a situation where Shelly's saying that she's saving herself for marriage, or if you're not in that particular mindset, wouldn't it be smart to have a conversation beforehand?
Yeah.
See,
Oh,
Shelly,
yeah,
if Shelly was having a conversation and she was saying, "Oh, that we can't really have this conversation because it's going to make you want to do something." But if you know that that's what you're going to do, it makes sense to find out the preference of the other person, so we know what each other likes and don't like, or what you're going to do and what you're not going to do.
Yes, I think that's the best way to go about it. It just usually doesn't organically happen that way. But yeah, I think that's perfect. And when you do it that way, you kind of have a bit of a roadmap. But I'll also note that even with you saying I like X, Y, and Z, it's kind of like the difference between studying for something, like reading a book, and then going out there and doing it hands-on. I can tell you I like it this way, but you gonna need some directions in the field. So like it's some good
hands-on training.
Right. So it's good to give a nice little overview, but you're gonna have to have some talking points when we get down to it as well. To jump back on the conversation piece of, well, how can we talk about this if I don't actually want to get into it? I'm a really big proponent of like having good boundaries around things, and really boundaries is just like, how am I making sure that I'm containing this in a safe way, right? That feels good to me. And so I am always that person who kind of gives the disclaimer before a conversation, so you know what to expect or what I am expecting of you. So if I'm about to have this convo or sexual convo, I'm going to let my partner know, which admittedly, right. Yeah, I'm going to say, so remember that thing that you said you wanted to do. I don't like that thing. I don't think I'm going to do that. But I like it just, you can kind of slide it in there. So for me, anytime I say so ... if you know me, you know that this is automatically going to be it. We're going to have a conversation now. But you know me, that's what it's coming up as. If that's not your thing, if that's not your MO, you can literally just say, I want to talk to you about this thing, because while right now I'm not ready, right now I want us to build and love and care to get to this point. One day it is going down. And I want to make sure that when that happens, that's a day that you remember why you chose to marry me. So what is my blueprint for it? You make it as sexy as possible, and you let that person know, oh, it's not happening right now. Yeah. But one day, honey, all of this, I'm taking notes. I got a whole little binder. This like wedding night about to be lit. I'm gonna just let you know. So like you can hype it up for that moment, so they know it's not today. Oh, but it's coming. It's on the way. What else you need to know? What are the plans? I like it this way and that way. Like it just, I'm gonna give you all of these details because I know that what you're telling me is all I gotta wait. I just have to wait for that ring to come down. All right, I can do that. Like and then it doesn't seem like, oh no, I'm so hyped up and I have to have it right now. It's like, oh, I'm really hyped up and this is gonna be great when I'm ready. Like it's not as anxiety provoking or pressuring, I suppose.
Yeah. I like that. Pretty much you prepare and I'm listening. So we're going to talk about, however, I like that. You just prepare.
Set the boundaries, Shelly. Don't forget that. You got to set that boundary. Let them know we're going to talk about fucking, but we ain't going to be fucking.
Right. So for me is like, you already know we're going to have a deep conversation, but that's me as my personality. If that's not how you've been doing it, you're going to have to set a really clear one where you're literally saying, we're going to have a sexual conversation that I in no way trying to come on to you. I do not want sex right now. This is in preparation for the day that we do it.
And it's going to take a special kind of guy to accept that one.
Here you go, but if you got the one, it ain't going to happen either way.
Exactly.
I believe Catrice had a question about children or something. I don't have my glasses on. You gonna ask it?
No, because we were talking about being raised, and it's two ways that you learn, whether it's not good versus just not being talked about. So when is it the right time to have a conversation with your kids, or even to express, because you want your kids, just like you want them to know certain things and not feel shame or certain ways about growing up and then they have like certain urges or certain things going on with their body they don't understand, and you're trying to like, I never had these conversations with my mama. She don't talk about nothing. So so everything I learned on my own. So now that I have children, it's like I need to be able to eventually, when that time comes, have a conversation with them to make them feel comfortable and also own their body. I love when I see people that own, like, okay, I do what I do and I'm happy I do it. I love when I see that because it shows that they're owning who they are. So how do you do that when it comes to your kids?
So I think that's a great question. And the answer is sex education starts from the moment you have the kid. So I think what people usually think of is like, we're going to have this one big talk, which is going to like happen prior to you having sex. And it's going to give you all the information you need. But sex is so much more than just a physical act. There really is this meaning behind it. There really is this emotion behind it. There's also a safety component.
Last time.
What'd you say?
No, that's my child talking in the background. I'm trying to be quiet, y'all.
So there is also the self-advocacy piece, owning your own body and being cool with that. And then there's a boundary or protection or safety piece, which is also letting other people know that you can't have access to my body if I say no.
That's right.
So all of that can start way before you talk about the actual penis vagina action. Like that, sure, that can come down the line. But you can start teaching autonomy, bodily autonomy as a little kid. And that's just the really small things. Like if you don't want to hug a person, you don't have to. If you don't want someone to touch you right now, you can say no, I don't care who this person is. Like even mommy, if mommy wants to come give you a hug and you say, I don't want a hug, I respect your boundaries, but mommy really wanted to give you a hug just to show you because she really loves you and she was excited to see you today. But I know that you have the right to say no touching. You can say it in a really sweet way, but what it does is instill from the child, as soon as I know what bodily, well, not bodily autonomy, but as soon as I understand that this is my body, that I also understand that I have a right to it and I choose who can get it and who cannot get it. And that's kind of scaffolding for the assertiveness, because if I don't learn that piece, that it's mine and it belongs to me, when it comes to the other piece of I also get to say what I like and what I don't like, I can tell this guy no if I don't want to keep going on. And we get into this like gray area of ambiguous consent. All of that is coming from but is it okay if, or do I have the right to choose what happens to my body? And that starts down at the bottom. As you get older, you can plug in different pieces and different pieces and different pieces as it becomes age appropriate. There was, oh goodness, I forgot what it was. I actually think they're Canadian. There's a Canadian center that literally has a play-by-play per your age sex education. Wow. So it starts off with, hey, this is how we're talking to our 4-year-old when we're talking about X, Y, and Z. I think it starts off with potty training, actually, where you're talking about this is our body and you're using the proper terms. And the only reason you're doing that is simply because, unfortunately, we do have some people who do crazy messed up things to children. And so if your kids know the proper names for things, there's no ambiguity. And if they happen to tell a teacher or a friend or someone else, if they're using penis or vagina, no one can doubt as to what they're saying. And if someone says, well, such and such showed me their penis, oh, no, who's it? Like, it's just so you can automatically get into it. So that's another piece that you're starting from very, very young. And I forgot each step because they're pretty darn detailed, like literally by the age.
And where is this? Where is this? Is in Canada? Sorry.
Yeah, I think it was a Canadian site that actually broke that one down. Because I don't think it was the Center for Sex Education here, which also has amazing things, and they have like really wicked lesson plans. But I don't think there was broken down nearly as detailed as the Canadian one. But I'm sure I can find it.
Yeah, if you can find it, I think that is so needed. It's something you just said was, if people talk about it at a young age, and I know a lot of people don't really believe that or don't even think about it. Had someone talked about it when I was younger, like suppose when you're, like you said, when you're growing up, potty trained and things like that, if somebody would have said to me, you know, if someone tries to stick their penis inside of you and you're 4 years old, then you know what I mean, if somebody would have had that conversation, I would have been like, oh my God, you're wrong. Stop. You know what I mean? Whatever. I don't know. Maybe it would have been some type of awareness that you know, whatever this is happening is wrong. You know, so when Catrice asks a question, when should you talk to your children? You should talk to your children now. Your kids are way
I like
over.
that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, not way over, but they're old enough now that you really can talk about it. You have to, because that's
I have, but I have talked to them plenty of times, especially about the piece where you're talking about not if someone tries to give you a hug and you're like, no, I have boundaries and I don't want to hug right now. Yeah, I've told my kids, because I was a parenting coordinator. So I had to learn all these skills about parenting and boundaries and just every little thing. So, and then when I learned them, I teach my kids. So I set them all down and said, if you don't want a hug from mommy, you don't have to get a hug from mommy. You have boundaries. Sometimes I don't want y'all touching me. So that's actually very important for people to know, because a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, I have to get a hug from this person. No, you really don't. Somebody don't have to put their hand on your shoulder if they don't want to, if you don't want to be touched. Like, it's a lot of things that we're not teaching our kids that people actually need to teach them. So they are protected. And not only they can protect themselves.
Yeah, I like that. You know what I like, Shelly, and Zemi, about that piece where, you know, you're having small conversations, because I think in society we're heart set on what's called did you have that talk yet?
Right.
You know, and it's not about, you know, the talk with your child. It's about talks with your child, finding every teachable moment that you can inculcate something useful for them and something that's going to protect them and make them feel powerful and free. So I love that. And at the same time, I was looking for that Canadian that Canadian thing on my phone.
Yes, if you can find it, I think that, to me, because we've had shows on. Because
I want to see that.
Yeah, me too. Because we've had shows on molestation, rape, and everything like that. But this was the first thought process that I thought of that even came up. Have a conversation with your child at the age of 1, 2, 3, 4, so that they can understand. So by the time, you know, we don't know if or when someone's going to try to touch your child, and if they ever will. But the point is, if you have those conversations prior to, you will know that it's wrong. Because you know how sometimes the perpetrator says, it's okay, we're allowed to do this. Or, you know, those conversations. But if the parent is saying, don't ever let anybody touch you, this is your body, this is this, you know, all those different conversations that can help now. And I think a lot of people are starting to, but some people just need to know. I'm hoping this helps somebody. I really do. I'm hoping it helps you. Talk to your children.
Yes.
Also,
excuse me, y'all. This goes for male and female. This goes for boys and girls too.
Absolutely.
Yes, most certainly. If anything, it goes more for boys, because we at least have a number on how many we have an average, because of course there are so many young women who don't come forward, but there are far more young women who come forward than young men. So you definitely want to have this conversation with your sons, because I cannot tell you how many young men have come to me and they're young adults, and it's like, hey, so I had this sexual experience with an adult woman and I was 12. And then I told my big brother, I told another man, and they were like, yo, that's what's up.
Yes,
and I
but it was
felt
actually,
like
it was a molestation.
Right.
It was molestation.
Right.
But as a man, he framed it as, in other men is going to confirm his framing as, oh man, for real, that was off the hook. Man, you had sex with a grown ass woman. Oh man, that's good. But it wasn't good. She molested him, took advantage of his body, his innocence. And because of the machismo that's fed to us, we don't look at that as that. We look at it as a notch in our belt, something we did.
I would disagree with that. So, and I only disagree on one point, and that's simply that the other adult men or older boys, they look at it as a notch in your belt. But the young men that come to my office do not. So like it's like I eventually learned to think it was good because the reaction that I got from everyone else. But I told people when I first told them, I told them with this was weird or I didn't know what to think about it. And then they reassured me that this was good. So I was like, oh,
that's what I said when they help you reframe it. That's when I said they help you to reframe it. When you felt bad, you knew there was something bad about it, and you told somebody in an effort to try to get help, but all they did was like, dude, that's off the hook. What you talking about? Ain't nothing wrong with that. That's a grown woman. You had, man, you a man now. So then what that did is now that totally reframed your thinking about the whole experience. Now it wasn't something bad now. It's now something that's good. I don't arrive to manhood. They made you reframe that.
No, wait a minute. It reframed the thought, but Zimmy, isn't it?
The experience never reframes.
But internal, internally, they never really healed from it.
They never heal from that, because like I said, it's a mindset. They reframe the mind. They reframe the ideal of that whole thing. The experience sticks.
Right.
And you, in the back of your mind, you always going to know that was wrong. Same thing that happened to me. I knew something was wrong about it, but everybody told me it was good.
And so that's actually and I'll admit, so this one I most certainly haven't researched. This is more of just my own hypothesis, because I wonder very much, or when that happens, basically what is happening is other people are telling you not to listen to your own thoughts and experience and emotion. And if you continue on with that relationship and it continues to feel icky, but other people keep hyping you up about it, and this lady keeps hyping you up about it, I do wonder how much of that goes into disconnecting emotionally from sex for a lot of men. Because I most certainly hear men making it seem like, oh, women are all emotional and sex is love with them. Oh, poo. But we can like detach and do it any sort of way. And I wonder how many of them, if I ask them this question, this detaching that you do, where did it come from? When did you start separating that and why? Because if I felt really bad about something and I didn't like it and everybody told me it was good, I would have to stop listening to me in order to continue having that experience and not feel bad.
Well, Zimmy, it goes back to protection mechanisms. Who wants to really feel that pain? So if someone gives you something, a tool to help you protect yourself from that pain, you're going to use it. It does not necessarily mean that pain is gone. We know that orgasms, everything is here. Sight is here, speaking is here, because if you affect one part of that brain, it's gone. So everything happens in the mind. So we figure that since an orgasm is a mental thing, and if you have mental blocks, personal blocks, whatever stresses are going on in your life, that's going to affect more than likely how you perform. When we experience traumas in our lives, they could be related to so many things. And so many things could be triggers to those. You know, for me, for a time, it related to sex, because it always had something to do with that experience that took something away from me. And I did go through therapy, and that's why I ended up in the mental health field. You know, so it was therapy that helped me to process all of that and helped me to understand that my uncles wasn't right. That was not your entry into manhood. That was your entry as a rape victim.
Right. And that's wonderful to hear that you were able to get good therapy and be able to work that out. There are so many people who don't, and they just don't understand how come they feel this way, or they can't have those healthy connections in relationships. I've also heard some people who are like just confused with their sexuality. Well, I can't be with a man because of this now, or I can't be with a woman because of this now, or I'm unsure of who I am because of this now, because I feel this way, but other people are saying I shouldn't feel this way. So what even is this? And it most certainly can come up in a whole bunch of different ways, or just re-traumatization, because unfortunately, We also know that being re-victimized, if you've had that experience once, happens a lot. And that's also really stinky. But there's been this saying that unfortunately predators know who to pick. And that's awful. But we do see that a lot too.
Yeah,
It is awful. I've heard Tyler Perry speak on it in the beginning of his career. He talked about how he was molested when he was a child, and he said he used the term "my body betrayed me," meaning he didn't understand why he was enjoying it because his body betrayed him. Because if someone's messing with your genital area, it could actually get aroused. It could actually, because someone is messing with it. So he coined it in the thing. He said, my body betrayed me. He said, I couldn't understand why my body betrayed me. And sometimes that can confuse you in thinking like, oh, well, maybe I am home because it was a man that messed with him. Maybe I am this, or maybe I am homosexual because my body betrayed me.
Right. I have heard that so much, and that is like the most heart-wrenching thing to hear. And here's how I explain it to people. If I threw pepper in your face, whose fault is it that you sneezed?
Mm-hmm.
It's a nose. It's supposed
it's the person who threw the pepper.
Right.
It's the person who threw the pepper. You introduced it.
Mm-hmm.
You
your nose is literally just doing what noses do. It is supposed to throw out anything in it that isn't good for your body. And that pepper was like, oh no, this seems like a spice. I don't think I should inhale this in. I'm automatically going to sneeze and push it out because that's what a nose is supposed to do. A penis, if you are manipulating it, is going to become a
natural reaction.
That is what is it supposed to do. It has nothing to do with what you wanted, with what you had spoken about. It is literally just a body performing a bodily function, no more or no less than how you could decide to stop breathing. You couldn't. Mm-hmm. You're going to breathe because your lungs need that air.
Your body, even if you try to stop, your body gonna be like overdrive, set it on its own. And Zemi, you know what I like about what you said earlier about teaching children about owning their bodies, having power over their bodies, and the autonomy piece. And when you hear stuff like that, saying that my body betrayed me, it makes you wonder, was he taught that as a child? Was he taught that my body is my body, that this is called a penis, this is what the penis does, in those small spurts of, teachable moments as you're seeing your child develop, and to hear, my body betrayed me is profound. And very poetic in a sense, because we know that the body doesn't betray us. It does what it's supposed to do. And in the sense of molestation and rape, it wasn't because the girl was looking too sexy. It wasn't because she had her ass out and her titties out. No, it was some idiot who decided to take control over her. Because again, rape is not about sex. It's about power. This guy decided to have power over this woman, and he picked his victim, and he did what he could to her because he had the power to do so. So that's what it's about. It wasn't because her breast was sticking out, she wore too much makeup, her pants were too short, her dress was too short. It was about him. He did that.
Right.
Absolutely.
I also want to just note that the phenomenon that we're talking about is arousal non-concordance. So it is quite literally something that happens so much that we had to put a name to it. So it's very much your body is just being a body. And if someone took advantage of your body being a body, that person's probably a crappy person. But that has nothing to do with, that's no ownership.
You're a piece of shit.
Right. But you know what?
Don't be using those kid terms with us. We adults, Kimmy. Don't be using those kid terms with us. Don't tell us to use our quiet voice. He was a piece of shit.
Well, but we are on television, all over the world. So, whomever.
And the lady that took advantage of me, she was a piece of shit.
That one that took advantage of me, piece of doo-doo. I can't say it. I'm sorry. I couldn't even pretend to do it at that moment. He was a piece of crap. But you know what? I feel like that when we think about these particular conversations and how it can come back to this, and we're talking about orgasm, sometimes your block can be because of your past trauma. sometimes you're blocking your orgasm, you're blocking in the sensation could be because of your past trauma. So maybe you need to get the therapy you need, or maybe you didn't even realize that you needed therapy. So why not explore that? Because that could be blocking you from your ultimate sexual experience because you're stuck. You're stuck with what happened before, and you don't even understand that you need therapy to get over it. So
come on, Shelly.
You can get unblocked. Let's get unblocked. However,
get unblocked. I like that, Shelly. I like Shelly. Come on now. I like that. Let's get unblocked.
Let's get
Is
unblocked.
anybody blocked out there? Therapy will help you to explore to become unblocked. You are sexually constipated right now. Kimmy Moore will be your laxative.
Let's talk about it. You know, we're halfway through the program, and I want to make sure because when this is edited. So let's go. Zimmy Moore, tell me about your practice. We'll go about how can they get in touch with you about this. Is not the end. I just wanted to do a quick promo. So tell me about how they can get in touch with you for your practice, or what type of clients do you accept?
Okay, so I named my practice Psychical LLC, and it's hilarious how I came up with the name. I've actually always wanted to start my own private practice, and one day I'd really love to like have the practice and then also have like an educational center on the side. So we are helping parents and we're helping people have those conversations with kids and basically creating more well-adjusted adults who have that autonomy and that peace. So in chatting with my sister about this, I was like, I've noticed that in so many different theories and forms of therapy, they all seem to talk about a pattern. There's always this cycle and it's always this, that, or the other. And at the time I was actually doing family-based because this is before I had opened the practice. We had to do something called the CNIP, which is the core negative interactional pattern, and then changing it to the CPIP, which is the core positive, I guess, interactional pattern. And looking at that, and then looking also at CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and seeing how that premise is how emotions and behaviors and thoughts are all interrelated and influencing one another. I'm like, psychology is cyclical. And she's like, oh my God, it is. You should call it psychical. And I'm like, ooh, that's lovely. Wow. Let me do that. Psychology is cyclical, psychical. And so that's what I've named it. And that's, I'm really, really passionate about looking at patterns, identifying them, and helping people break those negative patterns that they don't like. And I often describe it as the idea of breaking generational curses as well, because patterns don't usually start at one level. 9.9 times out of 10, there's something that started a generation up. So it's breaking this generational pattern. And even if it's something that did start with you, it's making sure that doesn't continue on to your next generation. So you can find me at psychical.com. You could also, of course, just give me a ring. So 610-708-3698. And of course, I come on. I would love to do more speaking engagements all the time, especially if they're about female orgasmic difficulties or female sexuality in general, or if they're on sex education or anything about sex in the Black community and coupling, because that was also a really big push for creating my private practice when I was in my master's program and even in undergrad, and looking for research on just Black couples or Black sexuality. It was kind of nil. Like I either didn't find a lot of it, or the only thing I found was really STI heavy. And I'm like, but where are all the stuffs that are just on, this is just what Black couples do. This is what healthy Black sex lives are. So I also really wanted to have a push in a place where I'm helping foster that and assist people in creating these healthy sex lives and healthy coupling as well. And so that's most certainly something that is also near and dear to me, as well as sexual minorities. So anybody a part of the LGBTQ community, you can see me as long as you're an adult. I only see adults, individuals, and couples, and I do sex therapy. And you got to be in Pennsylvania or Jersey, because that's the only place I'm licensed.
So does insurance pay for sex therapy?
Oh, it sure does. Now, I don't take insurance. I'm completely out of pocket, but insurance will pay for any individual therapy. Well, of course, you most certainly should consult your insurance provider. But from what I gather from the clinicians I know that do accept it, as long as you don't have a Z code, which is basically, those diagnoses aren't a mental health illness. Those things are more of kind of like it's having a tough time in response to something, to like at this moment, or it's giving me more information about what's going on with your life or your previous history. So like when I'm doing relationship or couples therapy, I can give somebody the Z code of relationship distress with an intimate partner. But that's not a Z code or that's not a diagnosis that many insurance companies would reimburse you for. They would reimburse you for like a major depression or general anxiety disorder. You may not get reimbursed for a Z code. That's fishy. You'll have to talk to each individual one. Some insurance companies also don't reimburse for couples therapy. So that can be tricky as well. You can get around it if you want, if you're talking to a therapist who's comfortable with doing so. And getting around it is basically saying that your partner is a collateral contact. So they're not really on paper a client. Technically, you're the client and they just show up to assist in therapy, technically. And then that way I can give the clinician can give them a diagnosis, which every insurance provider is going to require a diagnosis before they actually reimburse you or before they pay for it. And it will be an individual because technically that other person isn't there as a client. Now, that's how you can get your insurance company to pay for couples therapy if they don't already do so. The downside to that is if you do that, your partner has no legal right to see that file at all. They also don't have any legal right to say who else can see the file. So if I break, like, let's say that I'm the client and I came with my partner and we did it that way, and I broke up with him yesterday, and you know what, I hate him, and I've decided that I'm going to let every Tom, Dick, and Harry look at this file. He can't say anything. It's not really his file, it's mine. I can put all your business out there. I can let everybody look at this. I can give access to your mama. You can't say nothing. Like, so that's the downside you have to be careful with if you were to go that route. Now, how likely is that? But it is fairly common, so I'm assuming not that likely. A lot of people do it that way.
Hey, Zimmy, can you spell psychical so I'm spelling it right?
Sure. So it's psych, P-S-Y-C-H, and then sickle is like the last couple letters of popsicle, so C-I-C-L-E.
Okay, I spelled it right. Okay, cool. All right.
Sickle. All right.
Sickle. Sickle.
Sickle. This is Single on a Saturday Night. Thank you. Our guest is Zimmy Moore, and she is a couples and sex therapist. Yes. We're going to keep on going into the topic. Our brother, David Scott, D-Train Scott, he joined us for today. I want to make sure he doesn't have anything to say because I want to make sure this all fits in one episode. David, you came in at the tail end. We're speaking on the orgasm deficit, meaning women are having fewer orgasms than men. And it is statistically accurate. You know,
look at that.
I've heard so many women, you know, after posting it, women say, I don't have that problem. I don't have that problem. And I keep saying it is statistically accurate. This is what's happening in the real world. It may not, you may not, maybe your girl, or maybe they're not talking about it, but it's happening in the real world. So David, did you want to weigh in on the topic or talk to Zimmy?
Well, I think that a lot of that happens as a result of you got many men who are just concerned about making sure they maintain and get what they need to get. And if she gets there, she gets there. If she don't, she don't. You might find people that are more focused, that are married into, in long-term relationships that may look at that as more concern. But if you're just saying just on the dating cycle of people just out dating and enjoying one another for fun, some people don't even care if they get there. A lot of selfishness has started to happen when you out here dating that. That's how I look at it.
That's how you look at it.
Yeah, it's been real selfish now. Yeah.
So you think it's coming from a whole selfish side?
I think that's part of it. The other thing is, like y'all been speaking about mental blocks. Are people mentally getting themselves in tune with the person that they're with to even be elevated to that level? You know, there's romance as a word, but then there's romance as a feeling. There's intimacy as a word, and there's intimacy as a legitimate feeling and a frame of mind. Some people are not in the intimate frame of mind. They're in the sexual frame of mind, but they're not in the intimate frame of mind.
That is a great point, that some people are into a sexual frame of mind, which a lot of men are, a lot of women are. I'm not going to go specific, but it is right. They're in a sexual frame of mind and they don't understand the true intimacy and how to get really intimate. Natasha, she's on Facebook. So Natasha Harris says, I would love to say that reducing your stress level and eating correctly has a great impact on it. What do you think about that, Demi?
Nutritional.
On whether or not you orgasm? Reducing your stress level, most certainly. I don't know about eating, but I would assume that's just going to be better optimal health overall. So probably. Honestly, your best bet, if you want to go into the how can I make this better physically and not like the mental side of things, you just want to exercise your pelvic floor. It is a muscle. So what is that muscle, the better better you could probably get there.
You gotta exercise that muscle. Exercise that muscle.
You said exercise that muscle?
So Zimmy,
your pelvic floor. Well, you can do Kegels. If you can do Kegels, I think there's also jade eggs if you would like to do that as well, and they come in various sizes. The toy that I was chatting about with the PeriFit, where I thought that was really cool. The coolest way to exercise your pelvic floor I have literally ever heard of, because it's a video game. It is quite honestly, if you remember when Flappy Bird came out and it was the craze, it seems to look a lot like Flappy Bird, but for your vagina. So instead of tapping it on your phone, you'd need to squeeze your pelvic floor and the bird will flap. So if you miss and you hit a thing, it's because you didn't squeeze tight enough and now your bird fell and you have to try again. And I feel like that has to be the funnest way to do your Kegels ever in life.
I might want to get that.
Worth it. Told you, there's a toy for everyone. You just have to find it. And this one just so happens to also be basically a vagina weight.
I like that because it's a game. It's like a challenge. If I drop it, if this happens, I like the game part of it. Natasha said it works for her as far as eating right and relieving the stress. She said it works for her because she's definitely one of the ones that's not having a problem with the whole orgasmic experience. Thank you, Natasha. We are definitely
all right. I heard that.
One day I'm going to say the same thing. I'm not having a problem either. That's the whole goal of Single on a Saturday Night, to make sure we have these conversations so that we can better prepare for marriage or whatever. You know, not everybody wants to be married. Some people want to have life. What it called?
Life partners.
What it called?
Life partners.
Yeah, life partners. I couldn't even get the word out. Them life things. Whatever your situation is. Anything else that anybody questions? I don't want to monopolize the conversation right now.
No, Zimmy's on point. I want to hear some more from Catrice, though. You know, I want to hear a little bit more from the model extraordinaire.
Well,
I do have a question.
You do have what?
A question.
Okay, what's the question?
Do you think it would be smart to, just like we have where I'm a huge advocate for therapy as well. So do you think it's smart to also do sex therapy, incorporate that in on a monthly or basis, just like someone would do regular therapy, just to learn more about your body and also just be able to reap the benefits of everything that you teach?
So that's a good one. I don't know if I would say sex therapy. I would most certainly say sex education. And one, it is not lost on me that therapy can be an expense. It most certainly can, especially because I am a very big proponent that a therapist-client relationship is very unique and special. You need to shop for the person who feels good to you. You're about to tell them all of your business. So go to a free consultation, you check them out, make sure that you like this person and you're ready to share this information with you. Because if you cannot be completely vulnerable, it's not going anywhere. So if there isn't a sexual issue coming in just for exploration, oh, I apologize. Yes, you most certainly can do that. I'm not sure if the payoff would be there. Granted, there are very few therapists who do sex therapy and that's all they do. Like they just don't know anything else outside of that. I highly doubt that. That may be their specialty very much, but they can do other things. So if you're coming in for other things and you just so happen to also slide that in, then it seems beneficial. If it's more of just, I want to know more and I just want to improve my sexual prowess or improve my autonomy, well, no, because autonomy can actually just, that's outside of the sexual realm. So that could also seep into just regular therapy. If I just want to know more about sex, that can be sex education. And there are so many different places that have really awesome sex education classes. There's one woman, I think her name is Kim. I'm going to forget her last name. This is going to be cursing though, so FYI for the TV people. I believe she runs, she has several different classes called the Well Fucked Woman. And there are pins.
Wow, that's off the hook.
Right.
Well fucked woman.
Right.
Wow.
Look, look at the reaction. Look.
Well fucked woman. Wow. Where do I get that book?
And I can actually look up her Instagram. You may have seen her before because she's the woman who has worked her pelvic floor to the point where she can literally pick up inanimate objects with her vagina.
Oh, hell no.
There is a picture of her with her
wing.
So she has her jade egg. She has a string in her jade egg connected to a surfboard. And she's literally lifting the surfboard off of the ground by squeezing the jade egg in her vagina and like covering
man.
I don't want to meet her.
I don't, man. She sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I don't want to meet her.
That's that dangerous coochie right there. That's dangerous coochie right there.
I don't ever want to meet her.
Understand why y'all? What you mean you don't want to meet her? Are you saying that you? Why would you be scared of somebody?
How do I follow an act like that? Only thing I can do is give her a round of applause. I can't follow an act like that.
She squeezed the muscles together, boy. Boy, you going to a different kind of heaven.
The hell she need me for? I mean,
damn.
Because it's not all about the sex. We just talked about the intimacy. So we're not. She probably isn't going to be with someone because she's just trying to have better sex. She wants to be intimate and have a loving relationship with somebody that ends in great.
Well, that's a lot of intimacy to pick up a surfboard with your coochie.
Listen, as soon as a dude sees that,
that's intimate as hell.
Wait a minute, why did I just have a whole thought of the song surfboard, serving on that plate, serving on that plate.
If you're a weirdo, really.
That's interesting, though. I feel like we should have a sex education. So
yeah, I agree.
I
mean, think about sex education when we were kids. It was like so watered down. Now, what is the sex education to teach us? How to be sexually compatible, perform well, and feel comfortable with our bodies during sex, communicate during sex.
Well, sex education when we were kids wasn't really sex education. It was pregnancy prevention.
Mm-hmm. It just sure was.
That's funny. Was it designed to be pregnancy prevention when most of the people I knew were having babies anyway?
Yeah, in our community, they in the Asiatic community, they taught prevention because we was breeding too fast. So they said, stop having babies. So teach sexual education and teach them how to stop having babies, but call it sex education.
Because all they really did is sex education back in the day.
Was that what it? Do you remember? Is that what it was? Was it designed for just not having?
I think so. Because they actually handed out condoms. This is the proper way to use it. This is what happens when you get pregnant. This is what happens when a woman gets pregnant. In other words,
I had no condom when I was a kid. That was not part of my curriculum.
No, they didn't.
They definitely had no condom.
No, when I was a kid, no. We going back to the 70s. No, they did not.
Well,
you're a baby boomer, Sammy. You're a baby boomer. I mean, not a baby boomer. You're generation Y or X or whatever.
I am a millennial.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you that. So you don't know nothing about the 70s.
He couldn't quite get what that was. Yes, millennials. Yes,
I know who do know about the 70s,
I mean,
though.
Now,
I'm telling you.
as far as like the education that we have, so there's two types of education in the US. You can have your abstinence only, you can have comprehensive. Some people have like this middle hybrid type of thing, but usually it's one or the other. Your abstinence only is basically gonna say, don't do it until you're married. And depending on the type of program, that can run the gamut from just sex is bad, don't do it until you're married, to like actually giving people wrong information. Like, yeah, you can use a condom, but in fact, it won't help at all. You can still be at risk. So the only way to do it is to just never have sex.
Never do it.
Like downplaying the efficacy of condoms. Right. Now, granted, like those are that's not the norm in abstinence only. I surely would hope not, but it most certainly has been seen where they're legitimately giving the wrong information because they just don't want kids to have sex. What we've also found is usually abstinence only education doesn't actually prevent people from teenage pregnancy. Like it doesn't actually change the rates there, nor does it for STI prevention, I believe. Teenage pregnancy, I'm certain on, or not even teenage pregnancy, the onset of sex doesn't seem to be a discernible difference between abstinence only versus somebody who just didn't have sex ed at all. What we do know is for the people who do comprehensive sex ed, which is literally all of the things. That's when we're actually talking about, yes, here are your STIs and STDs and things like that. And yes, if you are abstinent, then that is the only surefire way to not get any STIs or STDs, which is technically not true because there are STIs or STDs, whichever one you prefer, that don't actually require penetration. They're skin-to-skin contact ones. And I don't think people realize that. So if you don't tell kids that and they're thinking, oh, I just didn't know, there was no insertion, so I'm fine. If you're nude and you're rubbing your genitals together, if this person has something and it's skin-to-skin contact, you can get that thing for some of these. Like you don't have to actually have insertion for that. That's also not talked about as much.
It's not, because I mean, I'm even sitting there like, really? I mean, I understand. I'm sure herpes is one of those ones.
Mm-hmm, that's one of them.
Yep.
Genital warts is another one.
But you know, there are a lot of women who feel as though as long as they don't actually have penetration, I've heard women say this who are into abstinence and all that, and they say, well, I can do, oral sex, but as long as I don't actually get penetrated, then I'm still a virgin and I'm still obeying to what I was taught.
You can get stuff that way too.
No, I'm just saying.
You can get stuff if you're doing fellatio, of course. If you put the dirtiest thing in your mouth, you put this thing in your mouth and it's dirty.
It ain't dirty. My thing ain't dirty.
I didn't say your thing was dirty.
The dirtiest thing.
Your mouth is one of the dirtiest things. So then you put
the mouth. Yeah.
You put his penis in your mouth that's uncovered. It's not. It doesn't have any condom on. It's going in your mouth, and then some crap comes out, and it's inside your mouth. You don't think you can get something?
But it don't have to be. It don't have to be him that's the culprit. It could be what's in her mouth, in her saliva.
Tell them the why. That's all. I mean.
When it comes to saliva, you have pretty low rates of transmission. Can it happen? Most certainly can. But the
risk is still there.
Somebody has a cold sore, which is literally.
Let her have herpes and suck. Okay, let her have herpes and suck your thing line. Okay, you gonna come out with some things. You're like, how'd I get there? I ain't even had sex. Oh, I was wondering what that red thing was she was trying to cover up with the lipstick.
There is also the possibility of you having an open sore in your mouth. So if you bit your lip, if you bit your cheek, if I don't know, you had a tooth removed or your filling came out, and so now there's a hole in that tooth. If there is something in your mouth that is exposed, know that you are now exposed. And because the saliva transmission is pretty darn low, yes. But if there's literally a hole somewhere in your mouth, that is basically a highway to your bloodstream, pretty much. So
And you can catch other things too, Zimmy. You can catch other things too. What if she got strep throat? What? That bacteria going right in your thing-a-lang.
I don't know if you can get strep penis.
Yes, you can. You can get strep dick. You can get strep dick.
You can get strep dick.
I've never heard of strep dick. I mean, I'm going to Google that. I may be wrong.
No, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm about to be vulnerable right here, right? Okay, so something happened to me downstairs. Okay, I'm in my 30s. So this girl, I know she had a cold. I know she had streptococci, right? I know she had strep throat. So I'll go to the doctor. I say, Doc, hey, look, something going on down there. I don't think it's right. I think I got an STD. He's like, took everything, took the test and everything. So when I get back there, he said, Mr. Jenkins, I'm happy to say that you do not have an STD. But there's something strange that we found. We found traces of streptococci in your shaft. In your test. What? We found traces of streptococci in your test.
So what's interesting, I did not know that was possible, but I can see
very much so. I was like, Doc, so what you telling me is I don't have an STD, but I got strep dick. He was like, well, if that's how you want to put it, Mr. Jenkins, you have traces of streptococci in your penis. I was like, are you serious? So the girl that gave me head, she had strep throat. He was like, more than likely, sir. I was like, what? And I always tell that story.
Did you go back to her and say, did you go back and ask her, did she have strep throat? Did you go back and talk to her? Did you
No, because it was like she didn't give me an STD, but we did joke about that. I was like, girl, you had a sore throat when you sucked my dick. And she's like, well, yeah, but I ain't think nothing of it though, you know. I was like, well, yeah, the doctor told me I had streptococci in my thing. You gave me strep dick. I said, we good because it was no STD, you know, but it was still funny as hell to me because I'm like, I ain't got no STD, but I got strep dick.
So one, professional me would like to say that's interesting to take note of. That's something I'm going to be aware of in the future. And I'm sorry that you had that experience and it turned out great, but it turned out okay for you. I will say that unprofessional me does find that a tiny bit hilarious. But I'm glad that it turned out okay, of course.
It was okay.
I actually think that's probably why I find it a little funny is because you're so lighthearted about it, of course.
It was a while ago. It's good information to tell people that, you know, even though you can't catch STDs, you know, through that means of sexual act, but there's other things that can go on in somebody's body, in their throat, in their mouth, that you can also catch too, you know. Right. So yeah, so I always find that story hilarious, and I tell that even when I'm speaking, and people just die.
What's interesting about that to me is it reminds me of a SAR that I had taken a couple of years ago, which we were talking about. Oh, you know, it actually wasn't even a SAR. It was just a guest lecturer at one of my classes, and they had a whole presentation on anal sex and the rise of cancer, unfortunately, anal cancers and anal sex. And so what their research was it seems like married women, been married for a long time, they have no new partners. There should be like no new STIs or STDs coming in here. So they have no idea as to why that they're having basically problems with their bottom, and they eventually are able to rule out or find that it's anal cancer, but they don't understand how it's happening because there don't seem to be any of the warning signs that I guess comes with that. And I'll be transparent, I'm not sure what the warning signs are, and that the class was a little bit a while ago. But what was interesting was what they found is there's been a rise in anal sex, and what was happening was partners were having vaginal sex, and then their husband's, spouse's, partner, whatever, wasn't cleaning their penis before moving to their anus. And now one would think like, well, the dirtier of the two was probably that one.
Exactly, yeah.
Who cares if you move this here to there? Well, you should care, because you could have cervical cancer, or you could have the cells for cervical cancer and not actually have cervical cancer. Very much so. We all take our, ladies have pap smears. And the whole reason we're doing these pap smears is to make sure everything's all right in there, make sure that you don't have any cervical cancer or any of those things. But if you're basically taking all of the juices and everything from one hole to the other, if there were any abnormalities with your cervix, or if there were anything there that might lead to cervical cancer, you've now just introduced it to your anus.
True.
And that is what that one particular research had found, that this rise was because people just, you're not washing your penis when you're changing holes, and it's not a pool game. There's different holes. You can't just go there and aim your stick any which way. They are part of a person's body. Wash it off before you go to a different place.
Zimmy, you just messed it up for everybody right there, boy. You just messed it up for everybody.
People
but it's good education,
by the
though.
Bed, maybe a baby wipe. It's
I know. You're like, hold on, baby. Yeah, I'm about to go to the other one.
5-second
Give me a baby wipe.
By the nightstand, swish, swish, go back in. You're fine. It takes 2 seconds.
Sure. Baby, wipe this off for me real quick.
But it makes sense. But listen, why not? Now being educated.
I like that though. That's good education.
Yes, being educated is being educated, because that makes sense. You are taking germs and juice from one area to the other. And
germs and juice.
Germs and juice. Talking about germs and juice, no. But anyway, when you go,
she said you're taking germs and juice.
And when you go to the GYN, the OBGYN, they don't necessarily check your booty. That's not part of the exam. They don't say turn over. It's just all about the one area. So your booty isn't getting checked.
Right. Well, and the problem is people would go to their primary care provider, but again, these were like married women or conservative women, or honestly just women in general. So people in general. So you'll go to the doctor, but how many of you guys have gone to the doctor and you know something ain't right, but I don't want to tell you what I did to get to the something ain't right. So I'm gonna give you all of like the kosher parts of this story, but I'm not gonna tell you I'm up in here trying something new with my husband. I just want you to fix this here with the information that I'm giving you. But if I don't know all that other information and I'm the doctor, how on earth can I check to make sure that you're really okay? And so the other thing that was happening is just,
that's true.
For some people, they weren't able to actually, it takes them longer to make a correct diagnosis because people just aren't being transparent with, I'm trying some new stuff.
Yeah, the anal. Anyway, for anybody out there, we don't talk about anal as much. We did have a show on it, and it was a guy who said that it was a requirement. There's people who say that, men or whatever, how we all have our thing. This is what I want. I require this. You have a choice to say, yes, I accept, or I don't want to deal with you. But there are people, there's men who say, I require anal. Like if we get married or we're in a relationship, this is what I require. So you have the choice to say, oh, well, you got to wash it off now. Now you got a choice to say, well, we can do this. It's possible, but make sure you get your baby wipe and wipe it off. But then again, with a baby wipe, it's not
antibacterial though.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It has to be antibacterial because
I ain't putting no hand sanitizer on my balls. No.
So, but that's the other thing. You would want to be careful because you don't really want to do that either. Because if you're using something that's really strong and harsh, it is all
wash it all the way off
to a vagina. Like that's not going to, you're not washing it off. So I think probably the best one rather than either of them is probably literally just a cloth and a smidge of soap or water. Like it's just no antibacterial, no nothing. If it just one that is, if you can find just natural plain old soap, clear old water, spritz it and wash it off and go back to having your fun.
Hey, look, tea tree is a natural antibacterial. So just get you some water, dilute it with some tea tree.
Don't do that.
I'm only playing.
Not tea tree. There's a gentleman on Facebook that says, there's a gentleman, his name is, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but I'm going to just say it, Vincent. Anyway, he said, I like women who loves anal. I'm going to keep it a bean. All right, he's going to keep it a bean. And he loves women that likes anal. I pray that you find your woman who likes anal, but make sure you wash it off before you go from hole to hole. I don't care. I hope you learned this today. You up here giving people,
right.
You know what I'm saying? But make sure you wash it off.
Talk about the juices, Shelly.
Yeah.
Talk about the juices.
Yeah, we don't want them juices flowing from one hole to the other.
You could also just wear a condom, which I strongly recommend if that is what you are doing, because of course there's that piece that's a concern, but the tissue in your anus is just different from the one in your vagina, so it's just easier to tear unless you are like super lubed up. So it's also more susceptible to some other things because it's easier to rip with that friction. So it's probably just better to just wear a condom with that whole period.
Oh shoot, that's right. Make sure that's right. We forget about those things, even though when you're married, but do married couples want to wear a condom? So
yeah,
probably not.
Married couples may not want to wear a condom, but I think this is great information. Vincent said he's a pro. He said, Shelly, I'm a pro. Thank you for letting me know that you're a pro. That's what's up. That's what's up. Go ahead with your bad self in that anal category.
I mean, luckily for Vincent, there are lots of women who like that is their thing. Like I've met plenty of women who prefer it. I've met women who actually have orgasms from anal sex. I've met women who the only time they have orgasm from anal sex is from anal sex. I've met women whose first time was actually anal sex and not vaginal sex. Like they had vaginal sex later on. They started off with anal sex. So this is the time and a place for Vincent. The world's your oyster, sir.
Oh, wait a minute. He said he's not an amateur, folks. So the world is your oyster. So if somebody out there in the world, wants to make that a thing, I don't know. But anyway, he said time out. This is single on the
calling the time out.
Are we too? This is education. This is not porn. This is sex education.
Wait a minute. No, I'm still stuck on the people have anal sex before they have vaginal sex.
Yeah. So ironically, it's just what you mentioned a second ago, where you had met somebody who was like, well, I can have oral sex, but I'm still a virgin. So that's okay. I'm still like,
wow, yeah, I like that.
I have heard that as well. Like I chose anal sex because vaginally, I didn't want to have vaginal sex. I had to wait. I wanted to be pure for that. But it doesn't.
So that goes back to what I was saying, that there are actually women who feel as though as long as they're not vaginally penetrated, they can have all the oral sex they want, but as long as they're not vaginally penetrated, then they're still a virgin.
Well, women and men, because it's a penis going in there. So there are most certainly some guy who's like,
but there are a lot that think that.
Let's go ahead and do this.
But even if they're thinking like this, let's think about the thought process. The thought process is somewhere skewed. Understand? If they're going around thinking that if a penis goes in my mouth, or that I'm a virgin, or if a penis goes in my anus, they're skewed in their thought process. If they're doing this and trying to remain a virgin because God says so, honestly, if you really think about it, it is sex. Oral sex
is sex.
It still is sexual immorality, and it still goes. So if that's their point, they're skewed. Their thinking is skewed. Their mindset, something in their mindset is a little off to me.
So Shell, let me ask a question. Let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all think that boys are using these girls who are thinking like this to get those favors because they know that they'll do it?
Say it one more time.
Do y'all think that the boys, the male, they're using these girls who think like that, like what we're just saying, and they're using these girls to get those favors because they know they.
Yeah.
Well,
for me,
wait a
that's
minute.
yes and a no.
Vincent said when he was much younger, he said he did date people who were virgins, and they would do the, but they would do the vaginal. They were anally active when they was young. So this is what he said. This is what happened when he was young. That they would say, "Oh, I'm a virgin," and he said they would just be anally active. So it is a thing, and I don't know if men, but if they're young, if women are young, men are young, both of them probably have a wrong pattern. You don't know what any of them were taught. So my thing is, it's not that they're using them, is that they don't have a clear view of it either, right? Is that me? Yeah.
I feel like it's probably a twofer. I do think that it's something that's happening with young people, and they both don't have a good definition for what's what just yet. Because if you're just starting into doing this, you're creating your own definition as you go, and you just started. So I think that's happening. I most certainly do agree that there's probably some little boy out there who's using this to his advantage. Yes. So I think both are probably happening. How much of which one is going on, I most certainly couldn't tell you. I am a really big proponent of the people within a relationship define the rules of that relationship. However, I do also recognize that at that young age, you don't know what you're doing just yet. You're figuring it all out. So like, if you're an adult and like, that's how you're defining it, I don't define this is sex or that is sex, and you and your partner agree, then those are the rules for your relationship. And I'm very firm, and I'm never going to tell you that you're wrong. That's your relationship. You make those rules. Now for me, no, that's sex. But that's me in my personal life. And I only say that because I know that for me, if it was a flip side, if we were in an intimate relationship and my partner would to say that, well, yeah, I had anal sex with a lady, but that's not cheating. Yes, it is. But that's because you would be in a relationship with me. And again, my firm beliefs are we define the rules of our relationship. And one half of your relationship said you may have just lost your mind. So there's that would be my own personal take.
I like your take on that.
Right. The other thing is, for both of them, like not having a good concrete definition, there is the other piece of they're also going through puberty. So you're getting all of these new hormones that you didn't have before, thinking sexual things. You're trying to figure out for both of them, not just the men, but also not just the men, not just the boys, but also the girls. What do I do with all these feelings? I am thinking sexy thoughts about this guy. I really do want to do something with this guy, but I know not this. Well, how do I deal with these sexy feelings, but not do this? So very much, I think we underestimate how much girls enjoy or are sexual beings, but they most certainly are. And I think to tie it back to like the orgasm deficit and the gap, that is another big proponent of how come women don't know as much about their bodies. And actually I take that back, not women, because most certainly this seems to be consensus between men and women, but it's hard to advocate for yourself as an adult if you didn't do all of that exploration when you were younger. And it just seems like, at least for the most part, and from my experience from chatting with people and a few other studies as well, that for young men, it is far more normalized or expected that they're going to take long showers around puberty time. They're going to stay in their room a little bit longer. They might have that TV up really loud, they might close that laptop really quick when you walk in the room, and that's expected. It's like, oh, it's just that time. Everybody has a nod to it. We understand what's going on. We don't have that expectation for young girls. And yet I would like to let you know, don't think that that's not happening. Like, it's just that most certainly is. It's just we're not talking about it that same way. And it's usually
your framework is different. Your framework is different. I agree with that, because let me tell you, when I was in undergrad, I took a women's studies class as a easy elective, but it wasn't. So I came across this one book called Secret Lives of Girls by Sharon Lamb, PhD. Awesome book. I'll give it to you again. Secret Lives of Girls, Sharon Lamb, PhD. And that opened up my eyes, to her perspective on, how women, see themselves and how women are actually viewed in society when they are very much sexual beings. And the way again, everything is about framework. A lot of things is about how we frame mindset, when we see those motivational videos, they always talk about mindset. Everything's about mindset. But when we talk about a woman having anal sex when she's a teenager and having come to you and told you about this, that conversation, we have to ask ourselves, is that same conversation with you being had with their partner? You know, the reason why I can't come vaginally is because when I was younger, ABC, XYZ, a lot of times we as people, because of so many different barriers, have a hard time being transparent with one another, especially when we're supposed to be engaging in a relationship. You know, what is the root word of relationship? Relate. The relating comes through in conversation, whether it's going to be verbal or nonverbal. It's got to happen in some form of. But y'all get that book though. It's Secret Lives of Girls, Dr. Sharon Lamb. Incredible piece of literature.
And I think just to add to that, like this idea of both of them are teenagers with hormones, boys and girls, and they are both trying their best to come up with ways to get around the idea of, but society or school or parents or religion has told me no sex until this point. So
they're trying to detour the taboo.
When I say they've gotten creative, oh honey, they've gotten creative. Have you guys heard of soaking? Never heard of this. Oh,
what the hell is soaking?
So technically, sex is penetrative and it's a motion. So it's when you go in and out, right? That's technically sex. But if you just put it in there and leave it in there, you're not having sex. You're just soaking it. It's just
soaking. Resting. Oh my God.
And that's technically not sex. And I'm
so hey girl, let's get our soak on. Let's get our soak on tonight, baby.
I don't understand. You must have like, the restraint of Job to do that as a teenage kid. I don't understand how it actually never moves. But maybe they really do. I feel like in my head, I can see like it sounds like the proverbial old school version of let me just put in the tip. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
that's what it sounds like.
Just soaking.
No, that's what it sounds like. Let me just put the tip in.
That's what it sounds like.
The whole thing is in, but it's just sitting there soaking, just soaking in the juices.
It's soaking
Shelly,
in the juices.
The juices, yes. We back at the juices again, Shelly. We back at the juices, Shelly. It's sitting there soaking in the juices. It's got to be some kind of motion going on. But even by soaking, that's still just the sensation of it and the thought of it, and it probably could just orgasm like that. I don't know. I ain't never tried. I'm gonna try.
Well, I mean, again, if you're doing
soaking. Hold on for a second.
Depending upon your pelvic floor, you most certainly.
Baby, I just heard this new thing called soaking. Yeah, we're gonna try it tonight. Okay. Yeah, love you too. All right.
No.
No, I'm just playing.
You are not soaking in nothing.
Actually, like now that you say, well, there must be some sort of motion, or technically you could just contract your pelvic floor, which I would assume would feel very good for a guy, and you wouldn't actually be having sex. There would be no motion.
Yeah, because you can just squeeze it like that.
Squeeze it.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe they did find a loophole. All right.
Yeah, that is a loophole. Just by squeezing it. Oh yeah. Dang.
But if we're talking about children, if we're talking about teens, they may not even know about the whole.
What's going on, Monica?
That's true.
They
probably wouldn't know the words. They would probably just know whatever you just did right there, do that again.
Right.
They may not know that this is the pelvic exercise that I'm teaching you as you do.
When I was growing up, I just called it squeeze your coochie muscles together. That's what I called it. Baby, squeeze your coochie muscles.
I'm just hoping somebody teach these kids that that's not even right. You can still get pregnant. So if you soak and if you move your pelvic muscles, if you do the Kegels inside and it ejaculates, you can still get pregnant. And just because you can say you did not have in and out sex, you can still get pregnant. It's still wrong. It's still not a thing. And I feel like if we all band together, people tell their children that's not right. There's not the in and out.
Also, everybody say on the count of three, we say no soaking. 1, 2, 3. No soaking.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Swiper, no swiping. Swiper, no swiping.
Yeah. Soaking, no soaking.
Soaking, no
Oh my
soaking.
God,
Soaking, no
that is
soaking.
hilarious. Like that should be a meme. Soaker, no soaking.
Soaking, no soaking. Well, I'm thinking that this is one of those things that you have just educated us on something. But as somebody that I don't have children that age, but somebody that has children, Catrice, try to learn all of this stuff so that you can teach your children that no, it's all sex. It's all sex. And you can still get a disease if that guy or boy, whoever they're with, it has some type of something, whether you soak it or not, it still can get an STI, like these kids, man, they will come up with something for everything.
Just put it in and leave it there. That's it. Baby, put it in and just leave it there.
It's still sex.
It's still sex.
Educate the children. It's still sex. Educate the adults, even if it's an adult. It's still sex. It has all the consequences it had before. If you don't use a condom, you can get an STI. If you don't use a condom, you can get pregnant. If you don't, whatever it is, it still has the same consequences. So please, children,
absolutely.
Please teach your children, please.
So to add to that on two pieces, one, as far as the if it's in there and you ejaculate, you still run the risk of being pregnant. He doesn't actually have to ejaculate because there's such thing as pre-ejaculation, which actually has a certain amount of semen in it. Not a whole lot. It's far less than your ejaculate, but there is still some there. So there is always that chance of, even if you don't finish, depending on how much pre-cum you make, which is very much up to each individual man, it's different. You still got a shot at that. Like
it only take one strong soldier.
You didn't have a direct target. It only takes one. So even if there's being less, even if there's less in there, it's still happening. So that piece is something to note as well. And then the last piece is, if you're just chatting with your child about sex education, period, or sex in general, there was one country, and I'm gonna forget who it was. I think it was Switzerland. I forgot who it was, but I think it's them because they're just really good on a whole lot of aspects of just sex education in general. But their frame of how they look at it is sex is a responsibility. So instead of doing this fear thing of, oh no, our religion says that you shouldn't do it, or you're going to be thought of this way, or pregnancy or STDs, scary, don't do it because it's terrifying. Instead, they kind of frame it as sex is both pleasurable, but also a responsibility. So yes, it does make babies for people. Yes, there is such thing as STDs. Yes, it does actually feel good. All of those things are factual, but you are responsible for the sex that you're having. You're responsible for choosing your partner. You are responsible for protecting yourself properly. Like you're framing it as if you were getting a new car. You most certainly could. I can talk to you about these things, but just like if you were to give this child a new car, you could kill somebody if you're not being careful. You could kill yourself. So you would teach sex the same particular way. It's fun to go drive and see your friends. It's great to be whatever person that you think that you truly love. I'm not gonna knock your care and affection as puppy love. I'm sure you really love that young man. But you need to be responsible because sex is a responsibility like everything else. And they actually have really low STD rates in whichever country that is, which I think is Switzerland. And it's because they frame it that way. Fear isn't really a good deterrent. It never is. Think of any time someone has tried to scare you into or away from something that doesn't work.
To do it.
Right. Yeah. But giving people the information and then saying, no, it most certainly is your choice. I will love you either which way, but know that with this choice comes consequences, because that's what every responsibility is. So on you, mommy's gonna be here either way, daddy's gonna be here either way, we're gonna love you either way. But when you make that choice, that is an adult responsible choice. Expect adult responsible consequences.
For real. Don't expect us to babysit when your responsibility materializes into a life.
You just don't expect
You're going to be taking care of that child.
Most of them do, but it is definitely after 4. I want to, Zimmy, you mentioned something about a lube list. Is there, do you have a download on your website that people can go to get the, is it an actual white sheet that people can go and maybe download it? Because that would, if you don't, then you might want to do that so people can, like, you know, build your email list or something with this whole download thing.
So I most certainly don't have it now, and to be transparent, it's not mine. I just came across it and I love it. I think the person who created it is someone called Sex Kitten, and it's broken down based upon the base that the lube is, and a whole bunch of other things. You know what? I might even have it already here. Let's see, where would I be if I were this?
But you know, you can I mean, this is just, I was about to go into marketing mode, but you could remix it and, you know, maybe like do like a landing page that says, here's my lube list, and then people will give you an email so they can download it so you can build your email list. That's just a whole different marketing thing.
Mm-hmm. I'll talk to you about that, Shelly.
I'm sorry, it just came to me as we were sitting there. I was like, wait a minute, that's one of those good things that, you know, that's your thing, draw them in, get their email, and then you have a list of people that you can continue to contact, because that is an interesting thing. And then you target it towards the people that might need it. Are you going through menopause? Do you feel like I don't know, your juices ain't flowing? I'm just playing. I don't know, because we talk about juices. So if your juices aren't flowing, then here's a list of lubes that could be better for you. And because people don't know that those KY jelly is not the best lube for your stuff. It's not the best. It's on the market, it's there, but that's not good for your stuff.
AY, Astroglide, anything that has a sweetener in it, nothing sugary should be in your vagina. For the love of God, don't do that. I remember being a kid and reading the Zane book, which of course I wasn't supposed to, but my mom didn't know who Zane was, and we're not gonna tell her to this day.
But she know now, she watching it.
Oh, right. I mean, Zane was a lovely comic book that was age appropriate.
Yes, it was. That Zane sure was. It was something that the kids.
So I think it was Zane, but it may also have been Omar Tyree for Flag Girl. I'm not sure. There was one where there was this scene where he took some Skittles and put it in her private area and then sucked it out. And as a kid, I had no idea what was going on. But as a grown-up, I'm like, that is so not good for her vagina. Imagine what that did to her pH balance. All of that sugar, that's bad. Bad. Don't put that in there. Just don't put that in there at all.
Don't put that in there. Look, teach us something. I'm telling you, don't listen. You have to, education comes on so many different levels. I'm telling you, people, we have to thank Zemi for all her education, because I'm telling you this.
Come on, y'all.
Thank you, Zemi. Seriously.
Come on. Hercules. We're gonna
keep our juices flowing, right? But not
go ahead, Shelly.
Not with no Skittles, though.
Not with
exactly. Not no Skittles, no ice cream.
Other things that are like literally made for that type of play that are also safe for your vagina. Don't use those ones. I've also heard popsicles.
Yeah, popsicles. Yeah.
But quite honestly, to be fair, I've heard popsicles anally. Also bad. Don't put that in there. Like, just don't.
Wow.
That. Like, you can most certainly do fun things, but buy or use things that were meant for that area. There are some exceptions to that rule. There are actually household items that are okay. But to be honest, it's not an extensive list of things that you could use, and you really have to weed out what was what.
But Debbie's gonna put a list together, and it's gonna be her lead generation so that she can get people. I'm just saying, this is your lead generation.
You could do that
together.
Or we can make our own popsicles and use them.
Oh Lord!
You could, if you made it out of something that was actually
that was friendly for that.
Mm-hmm. And you can put it in the freezer. Oh, that'd be fun.
Use distilled water.
That would be fun.
It would be. And what's great about that is it also brings about this new excitement thing, because you can get in with your partner and be like, hey, well, here are all the list of things that I got from Psychical.com that says it's okay to put in your vagina. We just gonna make 6 different popsicles. We're gonna try it out every other weekend while the kids is gonna see what's up. That would
it's exclusively at Psychical.com, and you
Psychical.
Go ahead and put your email address in so you can get that lead. I'm telling you, you got a lot of products that you can create that's not going to be hard to create to get that lead generation. But
Monica,
yes.
And now don't the Bible say the marriage bed is undefiled?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
That means get your freak on. That means get your freak on.
If you're married, one. I actually have quite a few people who are very concerned about that piece. That's a good one to quote. Thank you.
Not a problem. That's what we're here for. Listen, I'm telling you, I see it. I see it like really, you could really get a lot of, because I mean, the whole point of when you have a business is to get your leads. And especially since you have a private practice and it's all basically people who, and you target towards people who have money, not, that can afford.
Mm-hmm. She should say, I want my money up front.
I also have sliding scale because, like I said before, something that was really important to me was having a space for African American people. Like I want people who look like me. So I have at least 3 or 4 sliding scale spots that is not a full fee spot to make sure that I can help other people who can't afford it. Also, I participate or I accept Loveland Foundation vouchers, and Loveland Foundation will give, I don't think it's just for Black women. I think it may be Black women and men. They'll give you a month's worth of free therapy. I'll accept their voucher, no problem. Wow. And nice. Black Girls Smile is only for Black women, but they will give you 10 sessions for free. I accept them as well.
Wow.
So, I want to make sure that we get the help we need. Everyone should get the help we need. But
look, David over here saying they got anything for white men? David over there, that look on his face.
Ooh, man,
he said, look, what about us white men?
So if you aren't a person of color, yes, they do. There is something called Open Path, where I am on Open Path as well. And it is a site where that's a free listing. But in order to be on that site, I have to accept at least one Open Path client per month. And that's a low fee client. So if you're not a person of color, you can also go to Open Path because that's for anybody where someone has to
you go, David.
The lower fee.
Wait a minute, let me give you this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for thinking about that. You're right. I'm sorry, Matthew, but LaShawn says, I truly love Zemi Moore's professionalism, knowledge, and expertise. She's very kind-hearted and seems to really love people and wants to help everyone to be their best selves. Thank you, Zemi. Thank you, Zemi. Zemi, I will check out your website. And she put the website in there. Thank you so much. That's LaShawn Elise. Thank you so much, LaShawn. LaShawn is a single on a Saturday night. She's been here since forever. But she's watching on Facebook. So thank you, Zemi. Oh, look at you inspiring the world out here. We're gonna take care of ourselves out here. And Matthew, yes, go get your help. Go to the, because I really feel like sex education is so needed. I really do, which is why as soon as I heard you at the empowerment thing, I was like, I love it. I love the topic. But this is the end. This is Single on a Saturday Night right here on thegrownfolksradio.com. If you want to find out more, you can go to Zemi Moore's website, and that'll be psychsicle.com, and that's spelled PSYCHCICLE.com. Psychsicle.com to find out more. And you can check us out every day right here on the Grown Folks Radio. You have DJ Kid Disco every day, 10 a.m. for the Melanated Morning Show. You have Monty on the scene, who's down there, where she has every Sunday at 4 o'clock. And that is for inspiration in sports. What a combination, right? Inspiration in sports. And of course, the PPC Morning Show with Cinda Williams, star of the movie Mo Better Blues, New York Undercover. She's right here as part of Grown Folks Radio. Her new show starts on January 6th at starts January 6th at 2 p.m. right here on thegrownfolksradio.com. And if I forgot anybody's show, I apologize. But what you need to do, what you should do, is tune in to thegrownfolksradio.com, right? There you go. So if I messed up, all I know
I'll
is
let you know
don't mess
about my show in January when I drop it.
Yes. Malik's. Are we with that name? Are we still doing that name? Malik's Truth?
A little switch, but yeah, it's in there.
Well, what is the
A little
name
switch.
of it?
I'll talk to you.
Okay, all right, fine. Malik has his show coming up as well. Thank you to Malik coming all the way from
And don't forget about the Design, Date, and Purpose. Beautiful piece of literature.
That's
wonderful
a great
journey.
book. I promise you, y'all, it was a great book. I learned so much about Malik. So much about Malik. I'm sorry. Just get the book. And if you heard, he's very colorful. So you hear him today. It's a book that you will definitely enjoy. But anyway, thank y'all so much. Thank you each and every person who was here. That I thank you for tuning in. I know it's the day after Christmas. We won't be back till 2021, y'all. 2021. We'll be back for the 4th Saturday. So happy New Year to each and every one of you. I pray so much success over you. I can't wait to see what's happening in the New Year as we forecasted our visions, Vicky. As we forecasted our visions, Catrice, Matthew, for 2021 and Motivation Monday. Let's make sure we have some great forecasted visions for 2021 that are going to take us to higher heights. And if anybody needs me, you know I'm available for your marketing needs. I am here. You know, we're a team here. If anybody needs any question, ask anything, I appreciate you. I am here. So thank you so much. Thank you. It's Grown Folks Radio. It's Grown Folks Radio. No. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Oh, wait a minute. Malik, like, I'm getting in. It's Grown Folks Radio. It's Grown Folks Radio. We've had our own song. What? Well, he went back there. He did the WAP. I don't know. He said he's from the 70s. Look, he just did the WAP. I love y'all. Thank you so much. Have an awesome and amazing New Year, and I will see you.
New Year?
Oh, New Year. Oh, no. Did I forget to tell you about the New Year's Eve party?
Yeah,
yes,
come on,
you did.
Go ahead, tell about it. Come on, New Year's Eve.
Talk about it, girl.
Party, right here on the Grown Folks Radio. There will be a Zoom link if you want to join the New Year's Eve party. It's going to be DJs all day, and it's going to be like a New Year's Eve party. We can't go out. You know, typically we would go out and party. Some of us, not all of us, but if you go out and party, you would go gather. But the New Year's Eve party is going to be on Zoom as well as broadcasted on the Grown Folks Radio. So if you want to be a part of the New Year's Eve party, the link will be available. So let me know. Y'all got my numbers. Inbox me on DM me, whatever. So that's if you want to be a part of the, New Year's Eve.
I'll be there.
And unfortunately,
I'll be there as well. Unless I got a hot date.
Unfortunately, you have to tune in for this one because there's going to be plenty of music played, so it cannot be shared on Facebook.
It cannot, yes. That's why it has to be a Zoom link because copyright infringement and everything. Right. I might be don't laugh. I could be on a date. I could have.
You can receive it. Receive it, girl. Receive it.
It might be the date right now, but
Shell, a date minus the juices.
Minus the juices. No juices.
No juices.
No
juices. No
soaking. No soaking.
No soaking over here. We ain't soaking.
Soaking.
We are not soaking nothing over here. I might have fell for that as a child, but thank God I did not. I did not fall for that. Let me just soak it, though. I won't just let me soak it. How many had the people that say, let me just stick a tip?
I said that many times. Let me just put the tip in.
Now you
tip done turned in the whole thing.
Just let me soak it. Oh my
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that. Soaking. Hey.
That's our word for today. Soaking. Our children not to be soaking. I can't wait since I don't know what Catrice is going to tell her children, but I swear she's going to write a book about it. I promise you. Somebody in here going to write a book about this, all of this.
Soaking, no soaking.
Demi, I'm waiting for your book, okay?
Let me go write about it.
That's all I'm going to say. I know somebody waiting about it. All right, y'all have a wonderful and fantastic.
But no, here it is right here. Soaking in the Urban Dictionary, the art of having sex without thrusting.
It's in the
It's
urban
an art.
What?
It's an art. The art of having sex without.
What?
I didn't realize there was artistry to it, but
I'm really like art. And the thing is, the key word right there, the art of having sex. The word sex is still in there. So all of you people who think it's not sex,
it's sex.
It's sex. It says it in the,
It's in the definition.
Look, you know if it's in the urban dictionary, you know it's right? You know
it's right.
Yeah, because we urban.
Because we urban.
Urban is bond.
We will put a disclaimer on that. The words and the expressed are not of Zemmy's. They're not expressed on Folks Radio. They are just words. They are not true. They are just facts. It's just facts and opinions, and they are not the opinions of Zemmy Moore or the Grown Folks Radio or Expressions Inc. or anybody else who has a business that we want to put this disclaimer on. All
It's
right?
just my take.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
My take on
All
things.
right, y'all. It was a pleasure. Zemmy, you was the bomb.
Yes, Zemmy, yes.
Stay that way.
It was great. Thank you so much. Thank you for agreeing. And I will be in touch. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely look you up.
I would love to come back. I was on the Today's Woman podcast, and she invited me to come back to do specifically an episode on WAP and the female sexuality in music, simply because WAP caused this uproar and people were like, oh no, it's filthy and dirty, and women have never talked this way before. And I'm like, I don't know who you guys grew up on, but I grew up on Trina, like the baddest chick coming out, where she's literally in a nurse's uniform with her whole booty cheek over an incapacitated dude. So I'm not sure.
Brought her back to life.
Thank you.
The booty brings life.
This is like I think she's like some filthy things. Like one line was like, I'll make him eat it while my period on. And I'm like, you guys think WAP was nasty? Have you heard her? Or make a Sprite can disappear in my mouth. Kim has been doing this for years. It's new to your generation, but this ain't new.
This is nothing new. It's nothing new. And I don't know why they're making a big deal of it, but yes, I would love to talk about that. So
Can I tell you what's new about it? What's new about it is that they're more verbalized with everything now. We weren't. Back then, everything is out there now. They've learned about a whole lot of stuff more than we did at a younger age. We didn't have that stuff like that.
That's not true.
Yeah, and when it came at us, it was a shock.
Talk.
Yes, when it came out, it was a shock. Now it's a normal thing because when I first heard Luke Skywalker's "Hey, we want some pussy," that was the most shocking song I ever heard.
Yes, it's a difference.
But what the thing is, you saying it's different from back then. The fact that it was back then, we want some. Whether we were shocked or not, it still was. It started.
No,
back then.
we did it.
Not a new thing. It is
no. WAP is not new.
We critiqued it.
Put it in my mouth. But
we critiqued it differently.
Yes, that
had a breakdown with literally you hear him coming in someone's mouth. It was filthy. Like how that was way worse.
Get the words. You can taste it. You can lick it. You can. I mean, put it in your mouth. Your MFing mouth.
Right. But every song nowadays has that stuff.
That was the jam.
Back then we had specific songs. All of them songs that they're listening to now has it.
On the dance floor. Put it in my mouth.
Right. I was like,
that's the jam, girl. I mean, he ain't really gonna put it in my mouth, but that's the song, though, girl.
Wait a minute. Yes, he is. Some of them right like, yes, put it in my mouth. I'm just saying, Malik, you are wrong. You're wrong for that. You're wrong. But put it in my mouth. Matter of fact, I feel like that's a subliminal message. Subliminal.
Lord have mercy. Put it in
subliminal. But
I don't know. Let me make another call.
Because he was probably in the middle of the dance floor on that song.
Another call.
Come on, y'all.
Baby.
Yes,
that's
what I'm gonna do. Wait a minute, he making another call.
Tonight? All right, baby. I love you too. Put it in the mouth. All right, baby. All right. I love you. All right. Yep. Yeah, we're doing to put it in the mouth tonight and soaking.
Listen.
So we're gonna soak and put it in the mouth tonight.
I'm glad you said you love her because that's a lot of love right there. You know what I mean?
That's a lot of love.
It's a lot of love.
It takes love to soak.
As long as you loving somebody, we are crazy. This is the outtakes. This is not part of the show. It's gonna be the
behind the scenes.
I don't know, but yes, Zemi, we would love to have you back. We'll make sure that happens because I'm telling you, this has been one great show, and I mean, we do this for a long time, but I really enjoyed this show, and that's you and even Malik. Like y'all really took a dark day and turned it bright. I swear it was the most fun show. I'm telling you.
All right,
it really was. Like my face hurts from giggling so much. Like Malik, you're hilarious. Like
Malik, you are yes. Malik, you are the truth. Malik, truth. Malik's truth.
Right. I'm mad you have a no soaking sign. Like
right, he made a whole song. No soaking, swiper, no swiping, no soaking. Come on, man. Why is this gonna be in our head and you're gonna think one day you're gonna be in the
That's
movie?
That's from Fedora. That's why I said it. It's from Fedora.
I know what swiper, no swiping is. I'm just saying.
Now every time I watch Dora, I'm gonna be walking by my niece watching this, and I'm just gonna like giggle to myself because I'm immediately gonna think soak or no soaking. Like
right. and it's like it's embedded, right?
And why I'm laughing at swiper, it's gonna be really funny.
And one day we're gonna be in the moment, whether we're married or not married, we're gonna be with our partners, and we're gonna think, you want to try soaking? I just want to know. I just want to, honest, I'm telling you, that's going to happen, right? You're going to be like, come on.
Victoria laughing, well, she bullshitting. She going to try that shit tonight.
She want to
why you bullshitting?
I just want to know.
She going to try that shit tonight. I can see that look on her face right now.
Go, Victoria. Yes, you married. Go on, Victoria. Soaking.
I was thinking about it.
I don't care who we are. When we get with our partners, we're gonna be thinking, can we just try this soaking thing? I just want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
I promise you. And because Victoria, you can do it before me, go ahead. Let me go ahead and try it. Let me know, because I can't try it because I ain't got nobody. I mean, not like that. No disclaimer. Ooh, I just messed that one up. I might have, I'm saving.
You got a date on New Year's Eve. You might have a date.
Yeah, but I'm still saving myself for marriage, and I understand that soaking is the art of having sex. So
without thrusting.
Without thrusting. So I will not be doing that either. I won't be doing any of those things that say sex.
We'll see how long that lasts. Just to lay there. We're gonna see how long that lasts.
I just want to see.
But Victoria, is the art of not thrusting. But
that's what I'm saying. How long is one just like this soak? I don't know.
Just soak.
Nah,
you're gonna soak. First of all, she gonna get herself, what's it called? She gonna do the pelvic.
The pelvic exercises.
I can remember what it's called. Pelvic exercises, right? You're gonna practice the pelvic exercises, and then you're gonna sit there and say, let's try this soaking. And then you're gonna keep in mind that the pelvic exercises can happen at the same moment. You won't gotta move, you don't gotta do nothing. I promise you, I feel like that's gonna be dope. I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, he's gonna be shocked. He's gonna be shocked. He's gonna be like, baby, where you learn this from? Baby, where you learn this from?
I'm gonna say sing on Saturday night.
He'll be like, yes, I love it.
He's like, look at that show some more, baby. Look at it again.
He said, he's like, listen, all right. We got on Saturday night right here. We creating moments. Moments. You're gonna have a moment. Oh, I can't wait to get married now. I want to soak.
For real.
Who said something? I don't know what y'all said down there. Everyone, have a great New Year. Oh, that's Catrice. You know I have my glasses on. You got me reading.
Oh, she out. See you later, Catrice.
Bye, Catrice. Have some great talks, okay? Try to soak it.
Second that, I have to run as well. I actually came back to Atlanta for Christmas, so I have some family to go grace with my lovely presence.
Let's go grace.
No soaking this weekend, okay?
Soaking, no soaking.
Unfortunately, I'm in the same boat as Shelly. I am single. I have no partner, so there will be no soaking.
Bless the Lord. Bless the Lord.
He said, bless the Lord. Don't mess with him. Have a great day, Zemi.
Thank you, guys. You have a good one.
All right, y'all, I'm gonna be out too because I'm hungry.
You hungry? Malik?
I'm hungry. I got to go get something to eat. You know, I got to prepare my muscles to soak tonight. And yeah.
All right, you prepare. So
I'll
bye,
see y'all
everybody.
later, man. It was good. Hey, Monica, good seeing you, darling.
You too.
Hey, Matthew David. Hey, good meeting you, bro. Hope you be on again. All right.
Matthew is a
Don't forget
regular.
to get my book. Don't forget to get my book, The Design, Date, and Purpose by Malik Truth. Y'all take
Wait,
care.
Malik,
Love y'all.
Malik, let me tell you this.
Thank you, man. I'm gonna look at that.
Matthew is family. Matthew part of the live show.
Matthew just have a different look.
But he had no. But
Okay.
he's been missing because he had to work on those days now. He has to work on Saturdays now. But he has to work on Saturdays. Family.
All right. Well, it's good to meet y'all, Victoria. Good to meet you finally. They be talking about you.
Oh, thank you. Nice to meet you too. I had a good time. Thank you.
Sure. All right, Monica, I'll be calling you.
All right. Y'all have a good day. Enjoy your day.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Oh, bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a good show, Shelly.
Thank
Money.
you, Nancy. We appreciate it.
DJ Kid Disco. That's the
I like your
genius.
look, Matthew. I like your look.
Thank you. Thank you, Money.
Matthew
I
always
appreciate that.
I was wondering where Disco is. Disco, where are you? Disco.
Disco disappeared.